On a beautiful day in Chicago with the temperatures in the mid-70s, the folks flock into Wrigley, and they're excited about this team. It's won 5 in a row and sits at 20-15 in the first year under Joe Madden. Game 2 of this series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, ready to get underway. Heck of a pitching matchup between these two NL Central rivals as we get going. We say welcome inside. Joe Davis, C.J. Nitkowski. Yesterday's game, the bullpens combined to throw 13 innings, so it's good news for both sides that it's Garrett Cole and it's John Lester.
Really good news for the guys in both bullpens, because you look around and you say, who can pitch today? Well, luckily there are 2 aces going for both of these clubs. That is a relief, and thinking hopefully at least both of these guys getting into the 8th inning. That's certainly what the managers are hoping for. On Pittsburgh's side of the ball, they are going with Garrett Cole today. This guy is really evolving into an ace. He had a very good year last year, but it was cut short with a couple of injuries. This year he has been just as good, if not better. He's got the good fastball, the good slider, and he knows how to finish hitters. Very good on strikeouts this year. That's something that sometimes takes a little while for young pitchers, but not for Garrett Cole. He's pretty much been ready right out of the chute.
And trying to become the first pitcher ever to win his first 7 starts against the Cubs. Shift gears now to John Lester. When they signed him this offseason at the winter meetings, really kind of signaled that the Cubs were all in. They're ready to go for it now, and after a slow start, he's been good in May.
He's been very good, and this is a very common story when you get a player that comes into a new organization on a big contract. And I think John Lester, despite the fact that we know he's a gamer, he's been so good in Boston and shortly his time that he spent with Oakland, but I think it carried over just a little bit, maybe a little bit nervous, trying to make an impression on your new club. But like you said, he has since settled in, and he is the exact same John Lester that we remember from a year ago.
First start against the Pirates this year for him. Chris Bryant, might have heard of this guy at this point, having a heck of a homestand. One of many young guys we'll see in this matchup. It's the Pirates and the Cubs in Game 2 from Chicago on the other side of the spring. In the high 70s, a little bit muggy. You see the flags, always something you check when you come to Wrigley, but he's still out in center, so expect the ball to fly fairly well. His Pirates lineup has started to get it going some lately. Had 10 runs on 15 hits yesterday. Those are both season highs. But overall this year, they're 10th in the National League, scoring less than 4 runs per game. And Andrew McCutchen, their former MVP, has started to get hot over the last 10. Marte's been their most consistent hitter. Gong out of that 5 spot, somebody that's playing well over the last couple of weeks as well for Clint Hurdle's club. He'll face off for only the 5th time this season against a left-handed starter, as John Lester takes the ball for the Cubs, 31 years old, out of Tacoma, Washington, making his 8th start.
Yeah, and ignore that 4.10 ERA. He has been pitching much better than that. You see the great strikeout to walk ratio. Marte is the guy, the key guy to watch in this lineup for me. He has been very good against lefties this year, 389 with 4 home runs, but he has never faced John Lester.
Josh Harrison back into that leadoff spot with Gregory Polanco getting the day off. And we are ready for baseball. Part of a 28-day stretch where these teams will meet 10 times. We begin with strike one, called by Chris Siegel. Harrison's average at .222 here in the first season of that new deal. Takes one downstairs, but the offer, says Chad Fairchild. Really rotten first month and a half or so for Harrison, but over the last 2 games, 7 hits, included a 4-hit performance yesterday. 0-2.
There was that cutter from John Lester that he intentionally elevates and going for the swing and the miss against Harrison. Actually surprising that we saw him throw a breaking ball on the second pitch. He is heavy fastball cutter. About 75% of the total pitches that you will see, excuse me, 80% will be a fastball or a cutter.
It just misses off of the outside edge. Ball 1 on Harrison. One ball and 2 strikes on Josh Harrison, who lifts one in the air back of first. Battling the sun, Rizzo gives way to Russell, and 1 gone. Addison Russell, part of this Cubs defense, which has gone 6 games in a row without committing an error. Conlon, Fowler, Soler across the outfield. Bryant starts at third. Castro and Russell in the middle infield with Rizzo at first, and David Ross, who is John Lester's catcher for a good chunk of his career in Boston, does the catching today.
Not a lot of gray hair in that defense outside of Ross, and maybe I'm sure Lester has a couple, but what a young defense we are seeing here in Chicago.
And a strike to Neil Walker out of the 2 spot for the Pirates. Checking in at 278. So after the Braves beat the Marlins, we welcome you to Game 2 of this series between the Cubs and the Pirates. A beautiful day in downtown Chicago, Wrigley Field. John Lester against Garrett Cole today. One of the top pitching matchups in baseball this week. Josh Harrison popped to second to start the game. And now ball and 2 strikes on Neil Walker. Lester comes home. 2 gone.
And that is 3 breaking balls that we have seen, 3 curveballs from John Lester very early in the game. That's a pitch he only throws about 15% of the time, but does a really nice job of locating this down and in. That's exactly what we call a back foot breaking ball that he throws for the swing and the miss strikeout. And a nice start to this game for Lester.
He's been really good in this month of May, and Andrew McCutchen has started to heat up for the Pirates. He had the worst month of his career in April. But over the last 10, hitting .382 and taking strike 1. He's battling some lower body soreness during spring training. There was a sore knee as well. He's been adamant that it's not affected him at the plate. But it was simply he was out of sync. A little bit in with a cutter. Check the first and no swing. It's 1-1.
And that's a great setup right there. He goes first pitch fastball away, paints it on the corner, come back now. So you've shown Andrew McCutchen something on both sides of the plate. He can go either way here. My guess is probably back in with the cutter.
There's a towering drive to left, but he got under it. And Chris Conlon is there to finish a 1-2-3 first inning for John Lester and the Cubs. Cubbies looking for their 6th win in a row. They come to bat for the first time after this. Cubs are top 5 in the National League in runs per game at more than 4. Here's their lineup with Fowler, Bryant, and Rizzo at the top. Then it's Castro, Coughlin, and Soler. David Ross in front of the pitcher, John Lester, and Addison Russell. Real bad 9th. Dexter Fowler set to lead it off for the Cubs against Garrett Cole, making his 8th start of the season and missing up and in with ball 1 to Fowler. He's hitting .274 and has reached in 8 straight games for the Cubs. Here's the 1-0. There's strike 1.
And you will see a steady diet of those fastballs for Garrett Cole. 7 out of 10 every pitch for him is a fastball, and the average is 95 miles an hour. That's the 6th best in all of Major League Baseball, 2nd in the National League.
2 balls and a strike on Fowler.
He does such a good job. I mean, look at the walk and the strikeouts per inning. Doesn't allow the long ball, just the 2 home runs, and he has won this year. It's just been a fantastic start for Garrett Cole.
Fowler pops it up to short left for Starling Marte. And 1 gone in this first inning. It's a heck of a pitching matchup today. One of the best in baseball this week. Garrett Cole, John Lester, both unbeaten in the month of May, and it comes at a good time, one day after a 12-inning game where these bullpens were taxed.
As discouraging as yesterday was, especially for the Pirates, the good news is that you wake up for both teams and you have your ace. And don't think for a second that the relievers in both of these bullpens don't know that, and they are counting on these guys to get deep in the game. Managers are as well, to try to keep those arms fresh and get everybody back on track.
Here's Chris Bryant taking strike 1. Now Bryant on this homestand, 7 hits, 3 of them home runs. He's walked 5 times. Now leading the team with 24 RBIs. And drives one towards right center. Rodriguez will play it on a bounce. And Chris Bryant with a 1-out single in this first inning. In the 8 games against the Pirates this year, hitting above 300. Impressive talent.
This guy has been so good. It's the patience and the plate discipline and the understanding of the strike zone and really understanding who he is as a player. He gets here after hitting 43 home runs in the minor leagues a year ago, and everyone's thinking home runs, when's he going to hit them? Well, all he did was come out and have great at-bats. Yeah, the power was not there early on, but it did not matter. He was turning in quality at-bat after at-bat, and nobody, at least on the Cubs side, was discouraged about not seeing the long ball, and now they've started coming around.
Anthony Rizzo, speaking of the long ball, leads the team in that category with 8 this year. And attacks the first pitch, pulling a base hit down the right field line. Rodriguez plays the carom. Bryant held at third on a long single from Rizzo, and the Cubs at the corners with 1 out.
But what a great approach by Anthony Rizzo. Like I just talked about, he knows 7 out of 10 are going to be a fastball. If you like one that you see, why not go ahead and jump on it early? And he pulls it down the line, and actually the Cubs, or the Pirates I should say, caught a break the way that ball bounced off the wall. Otherwise it's going to continue to go down the line and definitely be extra bases and an RBI, with the ball kicked out a little bit off the side right there. And that's a nice break for the Pirates. Otherwise this is probably a man on second and nobody out and a run in.
No, CJ, the Pirates have been the best first inning team in baseball this year. They've only given up 6 runs in the first inning all season. The Cubs threatening against Garrett Cole. Starlin Castro now. Cole's first one is up and away for ball 1.
And that one at 98 miles an hour. Something interesting that Clint Hurdle had told us when we talked to him before the game about how Garrett Cole is getting better outing to outing and finding himself in new situations all the time. He talked about a second and third and nobody out situation, the first inning that he was able to get out of right away. Here he is now in a first and third. He can draw on that experience and see if we can get out of this one.
Runner takes off and Castro lifts a fly ball to center. McCutchen is under it. That's deep enough to bring home Chris Bryant. And an RBI sac fly for Starlin Castro makes it 1-0 Cubs.
The Cubs being aggressive early, and especially in that situation when you have a runner in scoring position. That ball carried pretty well.
Yeah.
Got a lot deeper than I expected when we saw it off the bat. Maybe that'll be a sign of things to come today. We will see.
Really humid. The ball typically carries well here at Wrigley when it's humid and there's no wind in. Any wind there is right now is blowing out. There's Chris Coughlin out of the 5 spot. And Cole, when he's missed so far, has missed up with that fastball.
He's one of the few guys that hard throwers can get away with that, right? And he looked like he did overthrow a little bit. We saw the first pitch as well to Castro that was 98 miles an hour. That one at 96. So maybe feeling it a little bit and trying to put a little bit extra on it, and that's not what you want to do in these situations. But because of the power fastball, he can get away with it.
Up again at 95 this time, and it's 2-0 on Coughlin.
A little dramatic for me from Coughlin. Those balls are probably over the plate a little bit more, but maybe he's just trying to play a little bit of a head game with Garrett Cole.
It is 95 miles per hour, though, and you are a pitcher, so. The 2-0 to Coughlin. A little bit low. The guy that drew the bases loaded walk in the 9th inning to win a game earlier this week against the Mets. He's worked ahead 3-0. 2 outs in the first and a 3-0 to Coughlin. Runner takes off on a strike, throw to second, not in time to get Rizzo. He quietly has stolen 8 bases this year.
And this has been a surprise, I think, for a lot of people and picking their spots, because Garrett Cole's actually pretty quick. But look at Anthony Rizzo right there, and that's a mistake by Garrett Cole by never making him stop. You have to keep an eye on the runner. Anthony Rizzo actually gets a running start. That is pretty difficult to defend for Cervelli behind the plate.
Now the 3-1 and Coughlin. It's a fly ball foul. Count goes full. After Cole had fallen behind 3-0. The former National League Rookie of the Year with the Marlins. A really solid year last year with the Cubs. His best season since that Rookie of the Year campaign. He's earned himself a new contract for this 2015 season. Cole is ready. And a 3-2 to Coughlin. Pulled on the ground to second. Walker will throw him out to retire the side. RBI sac fly from Starlin Castro brings in Chris Bryant. After 1, Cubs 1, Pirates 0. How about our keys to the game, sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company?
Well, for the Pirates, they're going to be counting on Garrett Cole to be the stopper of this losing streak. And for the Cubs, they're going to try to outpitch their opponent because they know they're going up against an ace today, and that's what Joe Madden told us before the game. That's the game plan. There's not a way that they think they're just going to come out and magically solve Garrett Cole. We just have to outpitch him, he said.
Middle third of the Pirates' order in this inning. Starling Marte hammers a fly ball to center that sends Dexter Fowler back to the track for the first out of the inning. So Marte flies out to center. One gone in the second as Jung Ho Kang comes up for the first time against John Lester. Second day in a row, Kang is hit out of the 5 spot, earning a larger and larger role for Clint Hurdle here in his first season in Pittsburgh. He takes strike one. Lester home with an 0-1. Curls inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Let's bring in Ken Rosenthal for more on Jung Ho Kang.
Well, Joe, he has really impressed the Pirates coaches with his aptitude. Nick Lavis says he hands them a sheet every day with their defensive shifts. Kang applies it, understands it, no problem. Hitting coach Jeff Branson says Kang is constantly studying video, and perhaps Neil Walker put it best. He said that Kang has adapted to the speed of the game in the United States much better than the Pirates ever expected. And CJ, you played in Korea. The pitchers there are all very similar velocities, similar mechanics, and this guy has to face a lot of different looks.
Yeah, eerily similar were the mechanics at times, and I actually played with Jung Ho. We were teammates back in 2010 with the Nexen Heroes, and that was his first kind of big year, and he had since gone on to have a very nice career in Korea. But Ken's absolutely right, and this is a big adjustment for a Korean hitter, and really all KBO players were counting on him because he's the first hitter to come over from their professional league and play here in the States. Every other Korean player that has played here was scooped up out of the amateur level, so a lot of other guys counting on him to be successful, so that hopefully that paves the way for more Korean hitters.
There's Corey Hart now. Pirates have their first base runner of the day. Lester from the stretch for the first time. A ground ball to the hole at third. Bryant will go to second one. Russell to first. That's a double play. They go around the horn to finish this inning. It's Bryant to Russell to Rizzo. 1-0, middle 2. For your All-Stars with the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot for the 2015 All-Star Game. You can vote at MLB.com/vote and catch all the excitement of the 86th All-Star Game July 14th live on Fox. Saw Anthony Rizzo a moment ago. He's making a bid to be there in Cincinnati. Now Jorge Soler, who attacks the first pitch and shoots a base hit the other way. Well, there's been some stretches where he's struggled here in his first full season, but they continue to see encouraging things from him.
He's a big swing, and that's a loud ground ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a ground ball, but it's just loud. And I like how Joe Madden described him as kind of a Vladimir Guerrero with patience, and you see that high finish, and that does remind you a lot of Vlad, who was a free swinger. They prefer, obviously, to not be as free of a swinger. But, man, that was a hard-hit ground ball, well done right through the hole. First pitch, these guys were being aggressive early on against Garrett Cole.
The guy that has dominated the Cubs over the course of his career. They now face off with veteran David Ross. Cole with a chance today to become the first pitcher ever to win his first 7 starts against the Cubs. 6-0 and 6 career starts. This is outside the Ross. He gets the start with John Lester doing the pitching. He was signed shortly after Lester was. Two guys developed a good chemistry in Boston.
I think Ross has a little bit of that Eddie Perez thing going with Greg Maddux for so long. You get a personal catcher. If you are a good enough pitcher, you can have one that you bring with you from organization to organization. I think that is certainly the case here. Not to take anything away from David Ross, but I think we're seeing a little bit of that relationship, and the Cubs understand the value of that.
Ross pulls his soft bounce to third, picked up by Harrison for the first out. Up the second goes Soler. Well, last Saturday when the Cubs were in Milwaukee, they were down 12-4, getting blown out in that game. So they put David Ross into the game to pitch. And he went 1, 2, 3.
It's that easy, huh? It's that easy. Come behind the plate at 38 years old, just throwing some slop up there and making it happen. Listen, their hitters will tell you there's something called the hitting speed, and you'll get even pitchers, a Mark Burley type, or you throw David Ross out there where he throws below the hitting speed, and it's actually very difficult to stay back on for a major league hitter.
John Lester up there taking a strike. He his top speed in that outing, 76.
Yikes. Ike Davis is telling him bring it, because Ike Davis pitched earlier this year for the Oakland A's and topped out at 88 from the left side.
And didn't give anything up. Right?
There might be a spot for him in the bullpen somewhere.
0-1 to Lester. It's bunted foul, and he's behind 0-2. Lester still looking for that first career hit. And you figure it'll come at some point. First time he's pitched full-time in National League ballparks. 0 for 52 in his career.
50% K rate right there. 8 strikeouts and 16 at bats this year.
Cole moving his feet, making him uncomfortable.
That's what you got to do. And for Garrett Cole, actually showing some emotion on here, maybe looking a little bit uncomfortable as he threw that pitch and missed down and in and pulled it a little bit. You see some frustration, I think, maybe with the aggressiveness that he has seen from the Chicago Cubs and how many guys have squared his fastball up a little bit today.
Cole brings a 1-2, and there's one hit wide of third. He's getting close.
The fact that he is fouling off that good fastball is surprising to me when you see a guy who has that poor of numbers offensively. You almost wonder to some degree how interested John Lester really is in hitting. I think he actually may be one of the few guys that would be a proponent of the DH in the National League. Yes, he would miss facing pitchers, but at the same time he wouldn't have to put himself through this torture.
Comes another 1-2 from Cole. He went up the ladder and got another fastball. This one 98, and he caught up to it.
That's impressive. Worst case scenario, you have made Cole throw some extra pitches here, and certainly Joe Madden can appreciate that.
Garrett Cole, pitcher of the month in the National League in April. He faced the Cubs in April on a cold night. April 22nd, gave up 1 unearned run on 3 hits over 6 innings. And brings another 1-2. Went to the slider to get Lester. So that's a small victory for John Lester, right?
He gave John Lester, Garrett Cole did 2 opportunities on fastballs. He said, all right, no more. You're going to get a breaking ball. When you're this bad of a hitter as John Lester is, I mean, he missed that by a foot. You are not going to hit that nasty slider. Big league hitters, good ones, have a hard time hitting that slider from Cole.
First punch out of the game for Garrett Cole, and here's Addison Russell. out of that 9 spot. He's reached in 17 of 18 games since getting called up on April 21st. Takes a fastball at 99 just outside. Addison Russell not much older than him.
That looks really good right now, except that it is a little humid here, so that's enjoyable now until it gets dry and sticky for the next, 6-7 innings for him. That's not going to be so enjoyable once he's done.
All it means when it's just warm, though, is you got to eat it faster so you can
or drink it.
We'll get a second one. Call to Russell with a 1-1. Lays off it. 2 balls and a strike.
Good job by Chris Stewart. I made the mistake, of course, of calling him Cervelli early on. Chris Stewart getting the start today. That is not an easy block. Good hard slider away. You have a runner on base trying to keep him away from going to third base. It'll sting a little bit.
Or Cervelli got beat up yesterday. Several foul tips. And took a backswing from Russell in the helmet. Painted at 98, 2-2.
I mean, that is just a filthy fastball. The location of that pitch at that velocity, there are just not too many hitters are going to get a ball in that. And that's a 2-1 count, right? I mean, here he is facing a 9-hole hitter. He doesn't want to fall behind anymore. And he dots one on the corner at 98.
Tailed into the zone, fouled off, stays 2-2 on Russell. Cubs going through quite a gauntlet as far as pitchers. They faced the Mets earlier this week, swept them in a 4-game set, and began this 5-game winning streak. But now facing the rotation that comes in 3rd in the majors in ERA. With Cole and Burnett's been good, Liriano's been good. Here's Cole's 2-2, and Russell fouls it off.
And Addison Russell showing some good maturity for such a young player at 20 years old, battling off some good pitches. 21 years old now. This kid's future is bright. We didn't think we were going to see him in the major leagues this early, but the Cubs decided to go ahead and give him an opportunity, and so far he's done a good job of holding his own.
7th pitch of the AB is another 2-2. And he loses the bat up into the seats. Bounces up into about the 10th row, and looks like everybody is okay.
It looked like it caught a young lady in the stands, and she had her back. She was actually walking up the stairs and away from the field, but it hit her, and the first thing she's looking for is the bat. Instead of worrying about, ouch, where did that hit me? Head goes on a swivel, and she's trying to find that bat.
She better get the bat.
She definitely has earned it. So you watch that, see how she has her back, and look, she's like, all right, at my shoulder, where's the bat? Where's the bat? I want to take that home.
Time has to freeze as she's walking, and she hears everybody start to make that noise.
Sure.
Like, there's a bat coming at you. I don't know what that noise is, but
last thing you're thinking about at that moment, she's walking in the concession stand. What am I going to get? That kid's ice cream looked good. Heads up, there's a 33-ounce bat coming in.
What's that? Oh, I just got hit by a bat. Russell took one just outside, ran it full. Back comes Cole. Fastball again, grounded foul. So the Cubs have won 5 in a row since a 2-7 stretch. They struggled in Milwaukee, but been really good since coming back here. Corresponds with the bleachers. Open it up. Got a chance today to win 6 in a row for the first time since 2011.
And the encouraging thing, too, there is you see them coming behind in 3 of those games. As the bullpen has struggled at times to hold leads, the offense has picked them up.
Russell takes strike 3 called on the 10th pitch of the at-bat. Back-to-back Ks to finish the inning for Garrett Cole, who dials up that fastball one more time and paints the black. 1-0 after 2. Top three back at Wrigley. Cubs in front of the Pirates 1-0. John Lester ready to work against the bottom third of the Pirates order. Sean Rodriguez hammers the ball to left center. Ambushes Lester for a solo shot to begin the Pirates scoring, tying the game at 1. Second of the season for Sean Rodriguez. His first hit of the month of May is a loud one. Even the issue here in the third.
Sean Rodriguez has some sneaky power, and he's not playing every day. We leave a fastball up like that to him, and he's not going to miss it. This guy can put on a show at times in batting practice. A lot of people don't realize that there is some power in that bat, but he showed it off right there against John Lester.
So the home run for Rodriguez brings up Chris Stewart. Now with the game tied at 1. And Stewart takes a strike. We're joined by Ray Searage, pitching coach of the Pirates, who had to wait a second, and I'm sure is glad to do so with that ball flying into the bleachers. Ray, obviously more and more people are learning about Garrett Cole that you've got on the mound today, but it's a special talent you guys have, huh?
Yeah, he's got some skills, way above average fastball and some secondary pitches that are pretty sharp too. He's going through his learning process, and he's learning, and every game, every pitch out there, every instance that he comes against, whether it's good or bad, he's going to learn from.
Hey, Ray, this is C.J. Nikowski. Good to talk to you. It's been a while. The other thing about Garrett Cole, when you watch him a little bit, there seem to be some intangibles there. I mean, he seems to have that little bit of an ick factor. Is that something that is teachable, or is that just who he is?
That's an edge. We call it an edge. He wants to compete. Everything is a competition with him, whether it be pens, whether it be running, whether it be conditioning. So he's got that was in his DNA from day one, and we just got to hone it in and make sure it doesn't just go run wild. And when he's able to keep that captured, he's going to be a tough guy on that bump.
Few hits today he's given up so far, not quite as sharp as he's been lately. What have you seen?
He's, as I said before, that adrenaline factor is starting to play, but he's starting to calm down a little bit, especially in the second inning. The biggest thing for him is to make sure that he can execute fastball command and making sure that he could go to both sides of the plate, get that going, get the command going, get those strikes going, and then the secondary pitches will definitely play in his favor.
You talk about that command. He painted a couple of fastballs that last inning at 98 and 99 miles an hour, and just kind of dotting them up. But interesting when we were talking to Clint about the emotions that you just kind of mentioned as well. He said he's an emotional pitcher, but he doesn't pitch emotionally. And you're kind of leading us to believe that is something that's been maybe a work in progress for him, where he doesn't let his emotions get the best of him when he's out there?
Most definitely. As a young kid and wants to make his mark in the major leagues, sometimes we'll have a tendency to try to do more than what we're capable of doing and coming out of himself. He doesn't do that on a steady basis, but in order to have a thought process and execute pitches on what this hitter wants to do, and that's the process that we're working on right now, which he is excelling in and learning day by day.
At the plate right now, took one outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
As you watch him hit and you watch all your other pitchers hit, where are you on this conversation about bringing the DH to the National League?
No, I don't like it at all. I'd rather have baseball the way it was, and I'm old school because I came up that way. The pitchers just have to do a better job in doing their job at the plate. The DH to me, I could see how that gives another guy more time, but we got the American League. I'm satisfied and I'm calm and I'm good with what we got right now with the pitcher hitting night.
One last question before we let you go, Ray. Bullpen today obviously got taxed yesterday. How are you looking for the late innings?
When we're ahead, we're still in good shape. We got Waddy and Melanson. We got Caminero down there. We've got some length with some other guys. We just brought up Wilfredo Boscon, and he'll be a long guy. And in case of emergency, Worley is going to be out there. Hopefully we don't have to go that route, but we'll see how it plays out.
Ray, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Good talking with you. That's Ray Searage, pitching coach for the Pirates. Josh Harrison stands in, down in the count 0-1 after Lester's slider. The next pitch upstairs, and it evens up.
Josh Harrison, also another interesting guy in this team, who was so valuable last year. You could have a legitimate argument, as good as Andrew McCutchen was and as good as Starling Marte was, Josh Harrison might have been the MVP of this team because of the versatility that he provided. You could put him in the infield at third, second, short in a pinch. You can put him in a corner outfield position, and all he did was hit and play well.
Waited on a breaking ball, pulled it to short, where Castro plucked it for the second out. Harrison is 0 for 2, 2 gone. Up comes Neil Walker. Walker and Harrison really on opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got Walker nearing the end of his deal in Pittsburgh, whereas Harrison just signed that long one at the start of the season, 4 years, $27 million. But Walker, the hometown kid that's been the everyday second baseman for the Pirates for 6 years now. He's been so consistent throughout his career.
The conversation will be when it comes to Neil Walker that he's 2 years away from free agency. He actually fell a little bit short of 5 years this year. He's making $8 million. His salary is only going to go up. And when you think about this Pittsburgh Pirate team and how they operate and the budget constraints that they have, the question will become whether or not they can hold on to him or if they'll be better off trading him.
0-2 with a fastball at the knees to Walker. He struck out his first time. Lone strikeout victim of the day for John Lester so far.
Josh Harrison makes that conversation possible when they're thinking about Neil Walker. The addition of Gong as well and his versatility. He was a shortstop in Korea, but he can certainly play third or second base. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously still a lot of time left in this season, but it'll be interesting to see where things go into the offseason.
Kenny, you can add on to the Neil Walker talk here.
Well, Joe, you said it. It's a little bit odd if you're Neil Walker that they've signed Harrison, they've signed Gong, they've tried to sign Gregory Polanco long term, and here he is. He's turning 30 on September 10th, and he just went to arbitration with them. Went to a hearing, lost the hearing, earning $8 million instead of $9 million, and he's got one more year after this one.
It takes one just off of the inside. Make it 1-2. Grew up in Pittsburgh, going to games as a Pirates fan. Was a first-round draft pick back in 2004. Waits on this 1-2 from John Lester. 2-2.
Lester tries to throw the backdoor cutter, looked a little frustrated. He wants that pitch to be a ball the entire way and tries to catch a corner looking for a called third strike in that situation, but he missed too far away.
Stewart at second with 2 away. And Lester to the plate with a 2-2 to Walker. Off speed, grounded back to the mound, and Lester will run it halfway to first and feed Rizzo to end the inning. First pitch of the frame was launched into the bleachers in left center by Sean Rodriguez. And we go to the bottom of the third in Chicago, locked at 1. compete in a winner-take-all fight for $1 million with NASCAR's Sprint All-Star Race next. All part of 10 Days of Thunder, only on Fox Sports 1. Back on the north side of Chicago, where the game's tied at 1. Game 2 between the Pirates and the Cubs. And Dexter Fowler is set to lead off this inning against Garrett Cole. Makes his second trip to the Cubs order. Gave up 3 hits. First trip through. The lone run came in the first inning on a Starlin Castro sacrifice fly. It's 2-0 on Fowler. Now you hear all about the young kids that have been brought up to the Cubs. You hear about Rizzo. A couple of other acquisitions the Cubs made in the offseason, including Dexter Fowler, that have been big. He pulls one into left, earned to right center. That'll drop down for a base hit in front of McCutchen.
And at the time, the Fowler acquisition didn't really seem to make a ton of sense, because you're looking at the team saying they're not ready to compete in 2015. Obviously, they had a bigger vision than that, and he has been a great addition here at the top of the order. And something that I really liked that we heard from Joe Madden today was about how they have challenged him to become a Gold Glove center fielder. He says, I have not seen one ball hit the center field yet that should have been caught that he didn't catch. And they looked and they sat down with him in spring training and said, you know, here's the knock on you. Here's what people are saying. He used the phrase, here's the word on the street. They challenged him to become a better defender, and so far this season he has been.
Cole starts Chris Bryant with a slider for a strike. Bryant singled in the first inning, scored on that Castro sac fly. Fowler, good speed, top 10 in the National League in steals. Nice pitch, bottom of the zone, and Cole's ahead of Bryant 0-2.
The crowd didn't like it, and I think they probably have a legitimate beef there. And Chris Stewart, with the kind of old Little League school frame job there, brought it up a little bit and was able to trick home plate umpire Chris Segal.
That one up, but it was 97, so you can get away with that more often than not. Second fastest fastball in the National League. Only Matt Harvey averages faster. Averages more than 95 miles per hour with that heater.
It's amazing the velocities that we're seeing these days, and a lot of that has to do with the training, the long toss that guys are doing at such a younger age, and Major League Baseball has really benefited from the evolution of pitching training.
You know, one of the things with Bryant coming in, the reputation with him was the home run ability. But there's so many other things he's proven in his time here, and you got an example of it there. His plate discipline, his patience, his ability to take those borderline pitches is something really impressive. It's on this 1-2 from Garrett Cole that'll come after a toss.
I tell you what, Chris Bryant and Joe Madden couldn't stop talking about him. You could tell he was excited to have him. But saying, you know, yeah, everybody knows about the power. That's the story. That's kind of the big, sexy number, 43 a year ago in the minor leagues, and then what he did in spring training as well. But he said this guy is much more than that. He is a complete baseball player, and he felt like that probably wasn't getting enough attention. They've been happy with his defense. Talked about his base running. That was the one thing he really wanted to talk about a lot, is how great of a base runner this kid is for a big power guy. You just don't see that too often in Major League Baseball.
You saw a moment ago, right at the top of the majors in pitches per plate appearance. And that comes in a time where even in the first month in the bigs for him, Joe Madden said the other day he's getting pitched to like he won the Triple Crown last year.
Well, word was out before he ever stepped foot on a big league field, and opposing teams had a plan on how they were going to pitch him. That's the difference in baseball, where it's been compared to years in the past, where information would travel a little bit slower. Well, now it travels immediately. But the thing that was so impressive was that Chris Bryant did not get out of his game plan. He didn't change. He wasn't trying to suddenly try to pull balls and take big, huge power swings. He seemed to adjust really well as pitchers adjusted to him before he even got it.
Quickly fell behind 0-2. He's worked it back to even. The runner at first and nobody out in the third. Here comes a 2-2 from Cole. After a long pause. Ken Rosenthal, you've got more on Chris Bryant.
Well, Joe, Chris Bryant is seeing breaking balls in almost 1/3 of his at-bats. And the Major League average is 24%. He's seeing almost 33%. And I asked him about this today, and he said he noticed it in his Major League debut. You guys remember, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. And after that, he realized, guess what? This is how guys pitch rookies in the major leagues. They're going to try to get me because I'm amped up. And what he decided was, I'm not getting out of my game plan. I'm going to be the same patient hitter I've always been. And as you said, the results have been impressive. Second in the majors in pitches per plate appearance.
Go inside on him here, and he takes low. Fowler taking off for second. Good throw, nails him from Stewart.
That was a great throw by Chris Stewart and a very close play. And as we see Dexter Fowler looking back in like, hey, does anybody want to replay that? I think I might have gotten my hand in there. You see kind of almost the casual jump from Fowler, trying not to give anything away. And ooh, he may have gotten that hand in there. We'll see. Joe Maddon waiting, looking in the dugout right now. Wanting to get an answer. Fowler doesn't want to leave the field. And they are going to go ahead and challenge this one.
You know, the throw certainly beat him, but it's a matter of if Walker got this tag down.
Ball beat him. Good throw. A little bit to the other side of the bag, but still a pretty good throw. But they want to see if that hand got in there. And as the fans see it, I think that should be enough to change it, right? A lot of times it is about what call is made on the field. And if it's too close, they let the call on the field stand. I love that you hear the reaction from the crowd that they now allow you to show this on the big board. As of last year, you never used to see that, right? Watching a baseball game, if you came to one live, they would never show the replays.
Well, that obviously didn't matter here until this year with the absence of the video boards. Here's a great look. I don't know, man.
The helmet blocked the view a little bit. It might. We'll see. This will be interesting because he probably got a fingertip in there. But is it enough? And the Cubs are kind of interesting where they are 5 for 12 on challenges this year. Those 12 challenges are second most in all of Major League Baseball. So Joe Maddon has not been scared to use the challenge system here in Major League Baseball.
Well, the crowd seems to think they've got a definitive look.
You know what's great is if they don't change it. This crowd, I mean, you want to talk about getting booed. And these umpires, here's the worst part. The umpires that are there right now, they have nothing to do with this decision. This goes back to New York at Chelsea Pier in New York City in the MLB.com, MLB Advanced Media offices. That's where this is happening right now. And so if for some reason they don't turn this over, these umpires on the field are going to get booed, and they had absolutely nothing to do with it.
You got to think Jim Joyce, crew chief, is saying, guys, you hear him? They already know that he's safe. You got to come on, save us here.
For our sake, we'd like to get out of here alive and enjoy the rest of this game. Dexter Fowler standing on second base. The fans have convinced him that he's safe.
The cheer that they made a moment ago was as if they had signaled that he was safe. You know, more than
they think it's coming. They've seen the replay a bunch here on the big screen, and this is where people start to wonder, why is this taking so long? If the fans, and obviously, maybe they're not the most objective in the situation, but certainly just about 90% of the people here are convinced that Dexter Fowler was safe, then why is it taking so long back in New York? But I want to make sure they get it right. It looks like I'm telling you what, man, that is so close. That may not be enough to
That's my
it.
thing. I think you may have gotten a finger in there, but is it?
For Jeff Joyce, he does not want to be the one to have to raise his hand.
I'm not sure you've got indisputable evidence there. And again, the call on the field is that he was out.
Oh, man. Now, of course, if they do call him out, Joe Maddon is not allowed to say anything. He's not allowed to react. It's an automatic ejection, which we have seen. Don Mattingly got one the other day. But once a play is reviewed and a call is made, opposing managers are not allowed to argue the call.
Last night, it became last night. Yesterday, these teams played a 5-hour game. This has taken a while here. Stick with it. I'm not surprised, but the 40,000 or so here wearing those Cubs-colored glasses are.
Poor Jeff Joyce. You see how quick he was? Fist up, and I'm out of here. Back to my position. And Chris Stewart, a few minutes later, still celebrating what he thought was correct all along.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's full on Chris Bryant, who had fallen behind Garrett Cole 0-2 and has batted it back with that signature patience. Cole to the line now, and his payoff, it fouled.
So that's now 4 out of 10 base runners that Chris Stewart has thrown out for the Pittsburgh Pirates this year. Of course, Francisco Cervelli is their regular catcher. He's actually only thrown out 4 of 36 base stealers. He has really struggled this year, but Clint Hurdle put that on the pitchers, and it is usually our fault.
And that's a perfect example of what people are becoming more and more impressed about with Kris Bryant. It's his ability to take those borderline pitches.
This is so impressive as a rookie. I mean, that is a two-seam fastball. If it's a little bit lower, it's probably called a strike. But because it was up, it is so hard to think that this kid could see that and make that decision in such a split second with the velocity that Gerrit Cole is bringing. Very, very mature for his age, and his eye is unbelievable.
Anthony Rizzo ripped a single into the right field corner his first time. Swings and misses late on a fastball. You asked Clint Hurdle today prior to the game, what's most impressive to you about Kris Bryant? And it was exactly that. It's his patience. He said we've continued to try and get him on swing and miss pitches, but he just refuses to chase. Cole with an 0-1 to Rizzo. Over the inside edge, which is not easy to do against Rizzo, who crowds the plate maybe more than any player in baseball.
I love his approach, and it's so unique to baseball. And really what Joe Madden talked about was how he gets there. Back foot is very close to the inside line, but he stands on top of the plate. He challenges hitters to throw him in, and it's very difficult to do because there's not a lot of room in there. That's why he gets hit so often.
Elevated fastball ripped into right center. Rodriguez cuts it off. First to third goes Bryant. Rizzo held to a long single. He's 2 for 2, and the Cubs at the corners with one gone.
So impressive to watch Rizzo do that. And what happens there is he's trying to go inside here on an 0-2 pitch, but the margin for error is so small. And the other thing I asked Joe Madden, which is exactly true, is that because he stands on top of the plate, he invites mistakes one way or another, either over the plate or you end up hitting him, which he has been hit 11 times this year. He makes it so difficult. I didn't love the pitch selection. I would love to have seen one shot at the slider, down and in, or maybe elevate the fastball and then go back inside. But Gerrit Cole wanted to finish him in, and there was just no room for a mistake. That's an 0-2 count. And Anthony Rizzo put a great swing on that ball.
Brings up Starlin Castro with Bryant at third, Rizzo at first. Castro takes pitches maybe over the plate, but Stewart had set up inside and had the reach to catch it. Didn't get the call. 1-0.
Probably a strike if he's setting up away.
Exactly.
A lot of times you're not going to get that call from an umpire, even though it may have crossed the plate. But because Stewart was setting so far in, umpire did not get a good look at that ball.
Castro double play candidate. Bounces one left side. Hits slowly. Harrison shovels it to second. One. That's all they'll get with Bryant scoring from third, and it's 2-1 Chicago. Well, hit just softly enough and in the right spot where he stays out of a double play.
Hit softly enough, and also just the way that Josh Harrison caught this ball. It was going to be easier to shovel it underhand than to throw it overhand because he was so close and running full speed. So there's not going to be nearly as much velocity on this throw with the underhand toss. And ultimately, that's the reason they can't turn that double play. But you take the out, at least one. You don't try to do too much. You try to throw that ball overhand and rush it, maybe throw it into right field and make a big mess of it. So you take the out, be happy with just one.
So Starlin Castro without a base hit has both Cubs RBIs today. The sacrifice fly in the first, and now on this fielder's choice bounce out. Gerrit Cole to work against Chris Coghlan. Squares to show bunt. Takes strike one over the inside edge.
And that was the inside fastball that Cole wanted to throw earlier to Rizzo. And I talked about in the open how he's so good at finishing hitters and getting those strikeouts, but he's been unable to do that so far in 2 strike counts that he's had on Rizzo and Kris Bryant today.
Castro runs on a pitch that's low. Throw goes into center, and Castro pops to his feet and moves to third. Second steal today for the Cubs. Third in baseball. And stolen bases this season.
Well, it's a great time to go, first of all, with 2 outs. This 0-1 count, try to make something happen. And because it was a slider down, they end up guessing right, and Chris Stewart is forced to rush his throw. And you see the frustration on his part as he got under that ball and launched it into center field.
Inside to Coghlan. And it's 1-2. Grounded out the second his first time. For his first hit of this series. But a pinch hit at bat yesterday, was retired. Just about everybody had an opportunity in that 5-hour, 12-inning game yesterday. Cole's 1-2. Pop back. We'll do it again. Cubs wound up winning that game 11-10 yesterday. Both teams had 15 hits. There were 17 walks in the game. It's the first time since the early 90s that these teams each scored 10 runs or more in a game against each other. Ball with another 1-2. And Coughlin takes just upstairs.
Ooh, that's a good looking pitch at 97. The fastball in. I don't know if home plate umpire Chris Segal saw that as up. Good velocity and good movement. That's the thing about the Garrett Cole fastball. It is not straight. There are a lot of guys that throw hard that we see 95 to 98 that can get hit because the ball is straight. Garrett Cole's fastball has lots of life.
Well, top part of the zone for strike 3 called to finish the inning. Cole gets his 3rd strikeout, but the Cubs get their 2nd run and lead 2-1.
Yeah, it was quick.
Temperatures in the high 70s, a little bit humid. I don't think anybody's complaining after a cold winter, cold early spring. Andrew McCutchen leads off this inning by grounding 1 to 3rd. Bryant, 1 pitch and 1 out. Between innings, we talked with Joe Madden. We brought up the fact that Anthony Rizzo somehow seems to fly under the radar.
Yeah, I'm happy. You know, he really has played great, not just okay or good. You saw the at-bat there. I think maybe the best 2-strike approach in the game. I know Cabrera is outstanding. I know Votto is, but I watch this guy every day. His defense, and now you're seeing his base running at another level also. He's been fantastic.
I'll tell you, we saw in that at bat, Joe, the 0-2 count, and
right.
I asked you about that before the game. He's standing up on top of the plate. Garrett Cole's trying to go back in, and he forces that mistake. Do you believe that goes on Anthony Rizzo, actually forcing a pitcher to make a mistake?
Well, he has 2 choices, either to hit him or try to get inside him or make a mistake like you're saying. I think a lot of times, and I agree, we talked about it, that if a guy's on top of the plate, sometimes the pitcher feels like he has nowhere to go. And then, Riz gets hit often, but he accepts it. He runs down to first base. He's been fine. But I think it does present differently to the pitcher. I agree with that.
Joe, we appreciate the time.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks.
Leading the majors in on-base percentage. A couple of more hits today. Starling Marte, the hitter here, down 0-2. And John Lester comes back to the plate. Up and in, ball 1. the back of that.
Here's what we were talking about. He's on top of the plate. They're trying to go in, and he misses up and away. And it's because of the movement on the pitch, but also because what Garrett Cole sees there is a very small area to try to get that ball in. Just not a lot of time, not a lot of space to do it.
Bryant, bare hands, not in time. Marte hit it softly, and he's got good speed, able to leg it out. Infield single with one away in the fourth.
Well, nothing else that Chris Bryant could do here. He made the smart call as to not try to catch us on the short hop, but let it come a little bit higher and barehand it. It's his only opportunity. What did we hear at the end of spring training? Chris Bryant's going to start the year in the minor leagues because maybe he needs to work on his defense. Not sure too many people bought into that. But so far what we've seen here today and really this year, he has been more than adequate defensively.
Here's Jung-Ho Kang. Singled in the second. They're snapping 0 for 12 slide. Marte takes off on the first pitch from Lester. Ross's throw is late. Marte's got a stolen base. Well, John Lester's been able to overcome what has seemingly been an issue with the mental side of throwing to the bases by usually being quick to the plate.
Everybody knew kind of what was going on here, and it really has been brought to national attention with John Lester and holding runners. Clint Hurdle said they will absolutely try to expose that. They study video on each guy. They'll look for little tells. They picked an ideal opportunity to go, but going to be aggressive against a guy like John Lester because he has had so many issues throwing the ball over to first base. It is something that has kind of creeped up late in his career, and it's been a little bit of a mess, for lack of a better phrase, where he has a hard time just throwing the ball over there.
You surprised teams haven't been even more aggressive against him this year?
12 stolen, or 10 for 12 coming into today, so what's that, 11 for 13 now. I think we'll continue to see that for him throughout his career. Career high for him back in 2010, 22 stolen bases. I think that easily gets eclipsed this year. Word is out.
Yeah. And the 31-year-old in his 10th big league season. Spent the first 8.5 years with Boston, second half of last year with the A's. They came over to the Cubs in the offseason. 6 years, $155 million. Couple of examples of tosses to first.
You see him decelerating, which means he's not throwing that ball over there at full velocity. He's feeling for it. That is a mental thing. It is not physical. And like I said, something new for John Lester that has really just kind of creeped up on him the last few years.
Brings a 2-1 to Kang. Takes a strike over the inside half.
And I will tell you from playing with Jung-Ho, that's a pitch he is just not used to seeing, the cutter. You don't see a lot of those in Asia, especially in Korea. Pitched there for 2 seasons. It's mostly straight four-seam fastballs, lots of split fingers. So he is seeing a whole new variety of pitches since coming over here to Major League Baseball.
Waits on a 2-2 from Lester with a runner at second and 1 away. Time is called midway through the windup from Lester. You were a fireballer over there in Korea, right? It's all
low 90s is like 98 to 100 over there.
You're Matt Harvey. You're Garrett Cole.
People always ask, what is the competition level like in Korea, and how can we compare it here to Major League Baseball? Same thing with Japan. I played in both places. It is very difficult to do, but I can tell you that I was a starter in Korea, to give you an idea of what that competition level was like. I had not started in 10 years. I was 36 years old. I hadn't started a game in over a decade, and when I got there, they asked me to be a starter. And not to say that the competition level is terrible, because it's not. There were some good players over there. We've seen Hyunjin Ryu and how well he has done with the Dodgers, and now we see Kang settling in nicely as a first Korean hitter to come over from their KBO. But the depth of competition there probably is not very long.
Another 2-2 from Lester to Kang. And he pops one to shallow right. Soler coming on. Won't get there. It's a bloop single because Marte had to wait to make sure it would fall. He stops at third. Kang is 2 for 2. The Pirates at the corners with 1 away in the fourth.
And with 1 out, Marte there is going to be conservative in that situation. If he had our view, as we get to see it, if he had our view, he's thinking, I'm gone for sure, because we can see that ball's going to fall in, but that's a much tougher read for him, where he is standing in between second and third base and plays it conservatively. And hopefully now for Corey Hart, he can drive him in here with 1 out. The sac fly is still in play.
Hart came up with a runner at first and 1 out in the second, grounded into a 5-4-3 double play. His playing time has not been nearly as much as they expected it would be when they brought him in. Takes a strike. You figured that he would end up platoon with Pedro Alvarez, get the starts against left-handed pitching, and he has, but this is only the 5th left-handed starter the Pirates have faced this year.
Yeah, for Corey Hart, that's probably the best role for him at this point in his career. He's been a very good pinch hitter for this team.
Young was moving on that pitch. Nothing in 2.
Hart is actually the only Pittsburgh Pirate to have a pinch hit this year. He has 6 of them. The rest of that lineup 0 for 38 in pinch hit situations.
Marte at 3rd and Gung at 1st with 1 away in the 4th. And an 0-2 to Corey Hart. David Ross, veteran-most member of this roster. Great clubhouse guy, not just a guy they got because John Lester was comfortable with him, but a really nice presence and a team that otherwise is pretty young.
It's great to have when you have a young team, guys trying to find their way, get comfortable in the big leagues, when you can have a veteran who can help keep guys loose, and certainly Joe Madden does that as well.
Gung's going to take 2nd and a pitch in the dirt. Picked a good one to run on. And a chance for the Pirates to jump in front if Corey Hart can come through.
Well, you love that move right there because, of course, it takes the double play out of the equation right now. And that's 2 stolen bases in this inning alone as the Pirates will continue to take advantage whenever they can of John Lester and his struggles holding runners.
Ross sets outside. Hart swings and misses. 2nd punch out of the game for Lester. Time to check in with Kevin Burkhardt. You've got a game break, Kev. Both these teams, Kevin, chasing the Cardinals in the Central, who have the best record in baseball coming into the day. 4th home run in 4 games for Miguel Cabrera.
Not even a rain delay can slow him down.
Nope. John Rodriguez homered on the first pitch that he saw from John Lester last inning. And takes ball 1.
It'll be interesting to see how far Miguel Cabrera can climb on the all-time Tigers list. I believe he's currently 5th. Al Kaline is the leader, 399 in his career. Now, obviously, Miguel Cabrera does not have all of his home runs with the Tigers. But he's climbing up that list slowly but surely. He is 5th right now. One more, he'll tie Willie Horton for 4th. But interesting about Al Kaline finishing with 399. He had 2 home runs taken away because of rainouts that he hit, and then the game got rained out, so they took the home run away.
2-1 on Rodriguez. Cabrera, by the way, you're talking about how high he can climb. He's signed through his age 40 season, which is 2023. So he's going to have some opportunities to continue to climb up that home run leaderboard.
140 more to be the Tigers' all-time leader.
So what would that be during that deal?
I guess that's actually less than that now. That was my math. Don't ask me. 137, I think.
That's what we got a stat guy for.
Yeah, I know. You should know better than that.
Lester's falling behind Rodriguez 3-1. With Marte at 3rd, Gung at 2nd. The Cubs in front 2-1 here in the top of the 4th of game 2 of this 3-game set. Cubs won a wacky one yesterday, 11-10. They've won 5 in a row overall, while the Pirates have dropped 3 straight.
Sean Rodriguez going to let it fly here if it's anywhere close to the zone.
Inside edge with a cutter, 3-2.
I guess not. Curious pitch there by John Lester, thinking exactly the same thing. This is a contact hitter's count. I'll tell you what, that ball finished in off the plate. Good call for John Lester. Not sure if that was a strike, though.
Marte at 3rd, Gung at 2nd. 2 gone in the 4th inning. 3-2 on Rodriguez, and Lester comes home. Got it. Back-to-back Ks to cap the inning for John Lester. The Pirates leave him at 2nd and 3rd. Number 1,500 of his career. One of 200 pitchers to do that. Jorge Soler leading off this bottom of the fourth for the Cubs, taking a strike from Garrett Cole. Singled his first out. 0-1. Strike two.
He was trying to go fastball away. It actually cut back over the plate a little bit more. Sean Rodriguez thought it was down. You see Lester getting fired up, having that second and third. One out situation. And he came back with a couple of big strikeouts.
Got hard swinging, got Rodriguez looking. A huge signing in the offseason for the Cubs. It was a 1-2, and Soler takes strike three. Looked at a slider. Fourth punch out for Garrett Cole. Brings up David Ross. So 1,500 strikeouts for Lester. And now you've got Garrett Cole, who's in his third season. He's a big league pitcher. He's the first pitcher in National League history, CJ, or since Dwight Gooden, beg your pardon, going back to the mid-'80s, to record 25 wins and 275 Ks before his 50th career game.
What's not impressive, was that David Ross right there on that slider, but Garrett Cole has been impressive, and like I said, and like Clint Hurdle told us earlier, he is getting better as he goes along, and he really is getting very close to being in the conversation of the upper echelon pitchers, those handful of aces in Major League Baseball. He certainly has the stuff for it. As those emotions get under control, as each outing comes along, I think he'll be there in no time. 98, wow.
Clint Hurdle compared his development to the way, and he said he tries to coach him like this, but it's like playing around the golf. Change each hole. Got to get better with each swing.
I love listening to Clint Hurdle talk. He's such great leadership skills. You can see why his players respond to him. And the other thing he said was that Garrett Cole has a slow heartbeat. And he didn't mean that as any kind of medical or emergency situation, but just that he doesn't get too high or too low. Yes, there's some emotion there, but he generally is able to keep his cool, and if the situation becomes more intense, he does not become more intense. We'll see the emotion maybe when he's struggling a little bit, but give him a couple of guys on base and his back against the wall, and he does not speed up the game. He actually controls the pace, and that's very impressive when you talk about a young pitcher who's got that plus arm. Most guys are going to come out firing on all cylinders, but he controls it very well.
Third consecutive strikeout as Ross looks at it, and up comes John Lester. It's bringing Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, both John Lester and Anthony Rizzo are cancer survivors, and both do a lot of work for pediatric cancer research and for the families of children who are suffering from the disease. Rizzo's cook-off for cancer, that was Thursday night, raised $270,000. Lester will stage his own event later this summer. His foundation is called NVRQT. That's short for Never Quit. And he already has had a meet and greet here for families and of kids with cancer, and he plans to have several more later this summer.
Yeah, and it was something he did while he was in Boston, Ken. He said they normally try to do those events while the Red Sox are on the road, but they're doing plenty of them here in Chicago in his first season in this town. Take strike two.
He shows the breaking ball a little bit early to John Lester this time. Fastball and then a little bit of a cutter slider right there, and going with fastball in.
You know, Garrett Cole doesn't want to be the guy that gives John Lester his first hit, his 54th career at bat.
You never want to do a period. You never want to let up a hit to a pitcher. Going back inside again.
And he strikes out the side, all three looking. That's 4 punch outs in a row. And he's finished the last 3 frames with a strikeout looking. Rooftops, one of the lucky rooftops. It's not totally blocked by that new video board in left center. Use hashtag this all season long to share the amazing moments that only happen in Major League Baseball. Back at Wrigley, Chris Stewart, the 8-hitter against John Lester, looking at a strike. You know, the hashtag the Cubs players have started using was begun by Miguel Montero. Hashtag we are good.
Whatever it takes, they are pretty good. Why not feel good about yourself and have a little fun, and really those kinds of things now, of course, really about team chemistry and having a good time with your teammates and getting your fans behind you. It's one of the great things about Twitter is that you can sit there and interact with your fan base and get them behind you and play games like that where you have your own little hashtag.
Ball and 2 strikes on Stewart, who walked his first time. The lone walk issued today by Lester. There's 3 strikeouts. Lone run scored by the Pirates came on a Sean Rodriguez home run in the 3rd. 1-2 to Stewart. Pulled off with a hand that is short. Funky bounce for Castro. 1 out.
Wow, what a great play by Starlin Castro. And he made it look easy, and you talked about kind of the funky bounce as Chris Stewart got jammed on that ball, so there was a little bit of weird spin on it. He did a really nice job of fielding that cleanly. He had a great throw across the diamond.
It's one of the things Joe Madden told us that they worked on with Starlin Castro this spring, and as the season has gotten going, being more aggressive, being not as much of a weight back, 2-handed fielder, going at balls with just that glove, allowing him for a quicker transfer. He's able to get rid of it in time to get Stewart. Cole takes a ball. Sacrifice bunt his first time up. Lester's 1-0. 2 balls in, no strikes on Cole.
Going back to Castro, he becomes an interesting guy in this organization as they have a lot of middle infielders and what they're going to do going forward. I think this year probably stays put, but for me, I believe there's an outside chance they would at least consider maybe moving him. Addison Russell is going to be a shortstop on this club at some point, and so you wonder about the future of Starlin Castro. He's locked into a long-term deal, and you think about the pitching needs that this organization has. They have a couple. You just wonder if there's a team out there, someone like the Mets, that would be interested in a swap for some young pitching for Castro.
Cole goes the other way for a base hit. His 4th hit of the season comes with 1 gone. You mentioned being locked in. I know somebody who's locked in on what you're talking about. Ken Rosenthal, you've got more.
Well, Joe, it's really interesting with Castro. And CJ, you're right. He definitely can be a guy to bring pitching back in a trade. But the Cubs have incredible flexibility with what they might do with him. They can move him to 3rd. Chris Bryant to left field. They can move Castro to 2nd. And don't forget as well, Javier Baez, currently in the minor leagues, he's starting to get hot. 11 for 22, last 6 games at AAA. He too can be a factor later in the season. Maybe the Cubs move Bryant to left, put him at 3rd.
There's a base hit to right, Kenny, from Josh Harrison, who's starting to heat up. His 8th hit over the last 3 days. 2 on with 1 out. And a 2-1 game here in the 5th. It is certainly a good problem to have for Theo and this Cubs organization. Year 4 of his rebuild. Now that it was interesting looking. Here's a trivia question for you. Put you on the spot. Who do you think is the longest tenured Cub?
On the roster
on
right
the
now?
roster, yeah.
It's got to be Castro.
It is.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's funny to think about.
At 25 years old.
You go back to the start of the 2012 season, which was the first year of the new regime. That opening day roster in 2012, only 2 current Cubs were on it. Castro and James Russell, who has been shipped away and is now back for the Cubs. Walker towards center. Russell leaping makes the play. 2 gone.
What a play by Addison Russell, who, of course, we just talked about, naturally is a shortstop, probably the shortstop of the future for this team. But to be at that level, you have to have incredible athleticism, and he shows it off right here. You saw that first step actually came in, a little bit of a stutter step, and a last-minute reaction. It might not have been a perfect route, but what he did there was show off his athleticism and his ability to adjust. It's a much tougher read than people realize. When you get jammed, you see a big swing, but you realize the ball's not coming off nearly as hard. That was a fantastic play, and good base running there by Garrett Cole. Sometimes your pitchers, you're not sure what you're going to get when they're out there, and he did a good job of not going anywhere and getting doubled off.
So 2 outs now with 2 on for Andrew McCutchen. 0 for 2 today. First one from Lester. To the dirt for a ball.
Going back to Castro real quick as we talk, we see the replay here. Full extension from Addison Russell. Cole's very smart to stay close. But Castro is on an 8-year deal for $60 million, which is a very team-friendly contract that runs through 2019, and then there's an option in 2020. So he is under control. That option is just $16 million.
McCutchen out in front of a slow curve, 1-1.
You don't see Andrew McCutchen get fooled too often like that, and he was way out in front of that breaking ball.
And you're seeing him get fooled less and less as this year goes on. Coming into the day, his average is at its highest mark since mid-April. Waits on this 1-1 from John Lester. McCutchen pulls one to short off a bounce. Castro will go to first and finish the inning. Couple of base hits in the frame, but the Pirates strand 2 more. 2-1 Cubs, middle 5. Continues. Brewers and Braves at 3:30 Eastern. Then at 7, the return of Baseball Night in America on Fox. Cardinals, Royals, Red Sox, Angels, Orioles, Marlins. Coverage begins next week on your home for baseball every Saturday. Fox and Fox Sports 1. Now the Brewers above 500 since Craig Counsell took over. Yeah, it corresponded with them getting a couple pieces back from injury, but then still having to battle through injuries. Gene Segura down on the disabled list, still playing without Jonathan Lucroy. Tough job for Craig Counsell to get thrown into.
It is, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the Milwaukee Brewers handle the rest of the season. Do they try to go complete rebuild? They certainly have a couple of pieces that other teams would want. Or do they try to go for the quick fix, and is it a couple of small pieces and try to get competitive again next year? They have starting pitching issues, and that's a problem that they're going to have to get worked out if they want to be competitive again. They were so good last year in first place for 150 days and ended up not making the postseason. That was crushing for that team. And I don't necessarily know if I believe in momentum carrying over, but it seemed like that cloud was still hanging over them going into the season. And, of course, you mentioned Jonathan Lucroy not being there. He was their MVP last year and a great player, and they certainly missed him. But it'd be interesting. I'm going to watch this team very closely and see what they decide to do. Quick turnaround or go for a bigger rebuild.
Cards, of course, won the division. Pirates finished in second. Lost in the wild card game to the eventual champs Giants. 9-1-2 for the Cubs against Garrett Cole and Addison Russell. That fantastic defensive play in the top half of this inning fouls back strike one. Struck out his first time. He was looking, and 5 of the 6 Ks for Cole have been of that variety. Strike two. Dexter Fowler at the top of the order due up next, and then it's Chris Bryant. 0-2 to Russell. Barely got a piece of a slider.
And Garrett Cole going right at the 21-year-old Russell with that 0-2 slider. Wasn't trying to sweep it. That wasn't a mistake as a strike. He was trying to go right at it. Now he's got him set up for the fastball in, but it's still an 0-2 count. So it'll be interesting to see. It looks like he's going to try to elevate the fastball here.
Does. Buzzes Russell and evens the count, or makes it 1-2.
That's a nice pitch to a young pitcher to let him know at 0-2 not to get too comfortable. Now he's got him set up for the slider away, or maybe he goes to the fastball. We'll see. Calling for the fastball away. Going to try to dot it on the corner again. Misses.
Shot to first, knocked down by Hart, recovers late. Russell's aboard to begin the 5th.
Well, he hit it hard, even though he did hit it right at Corey Hart. And everything happened about right. It's 1-2 pitch over the middle, but good job by Addison Russell. But he hit it right at Corey Hart, who just bobbled it. And this was close and a little bit of a slow throw. Maybe Garrett Cole was a little late getting there. And the head first slide, which is never, ever, ever recommended. Garrett Cole very easily could have stepped on Addison Russell's hand right there. And Joe Madden would not have been too happy about that. It is an instinct that takes over for base runners, but they're told not to do it because you get there slower. You do not get there any faster. The only time you want to dive is maybe if you're trying to avoid a tag. Look how close his hand was there. It actually looked like he might have got it a little bit. And that could have been a lot worse than it was for Addison Russell.
So Dexter Fowler now. Lured it in air. Leadoff man aboard for the Cubs. Up 2-1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Fowler shows bunt, takes a strike. 97 from Cole.
He didn't like it, but that was a strike, and he shouldn't like it because that's a really difficult pitch to hit and a really, really difficult pitch to bunt.
On to Fowler. Tried to wrap it to the outside corner, but missed. 1-1. Fowler's 1 for 2 today. Flied to left in the first and then singled in the third to extend his on-base streak to 9. Top of the Cubs order. Been good against Garrett Cole, who's been great in his career against the Cubs. He's never lost in 6 trouts. Said he just likes pitching in this ballpark. Said before he was a baseball player, he was a baseball fan. Enjoys the history of the ballpark. Said he enjoys the neighborhood around it, the atmosphere that it gives the park.
There's no other place like a great fan base. I always love coming here and taking batting practice and shagging fly balls as a visiting player because you had opportunities to interact with the fans and the bleachers who were always so much fun, and the neighborhood stuff. I mean, you really don't get that anywhere else. Maybe in maybe in Fenway a little bit, but it's so much fun and a great fan base, and the history stuff is great. You love as a ball player being able to step somewhere where some of the greatest players of generations way gone have been.
2 balls and a strike on Fowler. Here comes Cole. And Fowler hits it back to the mound. Cole goes to second. Gunn to first. A double play. 1-6-3. Good hands from a good athlete, Garrett Cole. Patiently waited for Gunn to cover to turn it.
And that's the maturity right there, because a lot of young pitchers sometimes turn and throw this ball too soon. And what Garrett Cole did really well, not only did not throw it, but he also kept his feet moving, which allowed him to make this very accurate throw to Gong. Does a good job turning and double play. I got to think I've probably done that with Jung Ho Kang before in the past after playing with him. Yeah. I can't guarantee it, but I think I've made that throw to him once or twice before.
Bryant's reached both times today. Cole pitches, and Bryant is behind a fastball at 98.
Wow, that was very much by him. And he is a good fastball hitter, and he almost looked like he was trying to shoot that ball to right field, which again shows unbelievable maturity for a rookie trying to take a first pitch fastball and not take too big of a swing on it.
Leaves that one downstairs. 99 this time from Cole. Two of the bright young players in the game going at it here. Cole is the pitcher of the month in the National League in April. One of the rising stars as far as starting pitchers. And Chris Bryant has been as advertised in his first month. The 1-1. Slider 1-2.
Some quality pitches in this at bat coming from Garrett Cole, and we just saw the numbers about how comfortable he is pitching on this mound. But look at this slider. When it never goes up, it's late, it's not big, and sometimes people look and want to watch and say, well, the ball's not moving that much. How come you can't hit it? Because the break on it is so late and so tight.
Sharply hit, base hit into center. Calmly done with 2 strikes. Bryant's second hit of the day, yet to be retired. The inning kept alive for Rizzo.
This is a really impressive combination and at bat. He misses that slider, keeps his head down, but look at his head on the ball, and then here he is on a fastball almost in the same location. He caught it off the end. He almost got beat on it, but he hit it hard enough up the middle. And this is a thick infield, and ground balls die in this infield a lot. It's a great place for ground ball pitchers, but that just tells you how hard he hit that ball to get it through as well as he did.
Well, CJ, he and Rizzo combined today 4 for 4 with a walk. Cole delivers, and Rizzo takes ball 1. Is there an illusion for the umpire too? Does that inside corner disappear some because Rizzo stands so close to it?
I think there's probably times where he does not get the inside strike called because he is so close to the plate. But give Garrett Cole credit for wanting to go right back in there and executing on that last pitch.
Rarely do you see Rizzo fooled that badly. He offered 1-1. Joe Madden told us today about Anthony Rizzo, who has more than 100 at-bats this season, that he's not given a single one of them away. You know, there's guys that'll be 300 hitters, but you see sometimes where they go up and, oh man, that's not a good at-bat. Joe Madden says not a single time has Rizzo been guilty of that.
And that is all mental. That is preparation, being ready, having a game plan every single pitch, and executing at the plate.
128 at-bats for him this season. Overshift on against Rizzo. Bryant singled to keep the inning alive. And Rizzo bounces one. And Cole stabs and runs to the bag to finish the inning. 2-1 Cubs on a gorgeous day in the Windy City. Through at 5. Back after this. Middle part of the Pirates order against John Lester. Starling Marte leading off this inning. And out in front of it off speed for strike one. Marte is 1 for 2 today with a single. It is one of the only guys in this lineup that has had consistent success this year offensively for the Pirates. Lester back with an 0-1. Hung it, but it was fouled back. This is a team, CJ, that last year was one of the best offenses in all of Major League Baseball. But here they are, more than a month into the year. They've got only 3 regulars that are above league average when you look at OPS plus, which puts players on a league average scale.
It's been a slow start to the season for a couple of guys. Josh Harrison, of course. We talked about Andrew McCutchen as well. They had a chance to have the best outfield in Major League Baseball. I put them right there with the Miami Marlins this year. The 2 best outfields, but they have gotten off to such a slow start that they've fallen out of that conversation. But it's still there, and the possibility is still there as well. And talking about Marte, a guy that can play center field, as Clint Hurdle was telling us earlier today, but he realizes that left field is his real estate, and he has to lock that down. And when you have a guy that can play center, and you can put him in left, that's a nice bonus.
A rocket into the left field corner off of the bat of Marte. And he's got a leadoff double here in the 6th. Pirates have the tying run in scoring position. Boy, he can really fly too, can't he?
This is athleticism, and you can't. There's no way you can be a guy who can play center field and not have good speed. Marte got a good jump, never slowed down until he realized he had that double locked up. Does a good job of turning on that ball from John Lester to start things off here in the top of the 6th inning.
Gong, who has singled both times against Lester, stands in with the tying run at second base. Corners squeeze in front of the bags, thinking perhaps Gong is up there to lay down a sacrifice.
I'd be surprised if they bunt here.
Yeah, he was swinging away. Strike one.
I don't think Clint Hurdle is going to give up an out here, down by 1 with your 5-hole hitter this late in the game, especially against a left-handed starter and a guy that he already has 2 hits off today. Ooh, tough call there.
Lester's ahead of him 0-2.
It's nice to get that cutter called down on him, but you see David Ross bring it back up. David Ross moves his glove like that. What that tells you is that it's not a strike. I want to make it look like a strike. And he did a very nice job again of doing it and fooling the umpire.
Back to the cutter, missed this time. 1-2.
Pretty close to the same pitch, and very nice execution by John Lester. Now, one thing he has done today when he has gotten ahead in the count, see, he goes fastball away using multiple signs, but he's tried to lock guys up on that fastball away once he's gotten to 2 strikes. And this could be a backdoor cutter. Let's see.
Straight fastball, or was that a cut?
Yeah, that was the straight 4-seam fastball, and he's looking for the called strike. And he was basically shooting black or off, and he just missed off, and David Ross did a good job. Didn't miss the glove by much, but David Ross was set up right on the corner. And now I got to think they're going to go strike here. Could be a cutter back in. Let's see.
Sets up inside. And a 2-2 to Gong. Bounce to third for Bryant. Check the runner back. Marte holds at second. Gong retired. We check in with Kevin Burkhardt for a game break.
It's loud, huh? Crowd.
Yeah, Kevin, you know, they say that it's probably too early to scoreboard watch, but, you know, fans are still looking, right?
Fans can absolutely scoreboard watch at this time of year. Players should not be. I remember doing that once when I was younger, early in my career, and getting blasted by a veteran. He said, "You are not looking at the scoreboard in May, are you?"
Corey Hart, hitless in 2 ABs, out in front. Lester, more often than usual, has started some ABs with off speed today.
He has a couple of times. I think we've seen already more curveballs than we expected to see today, and he's done a really nice job with runners in scoring position. I have him at 0 for 7 today, and is really bear down in these tough situations. He pitched down very well.
Here's his 0-1. Hart takes inside, ball 1. Now, one of the things statistically, if you're trying to find a reason why the Pirates have struggled the way they have this year offensively after being so good last year, they're seeing smallest amount of fastballs of any lineup in the bigs. Fouled back. Marte had a good jump, 1 and 2. Last year they weren't seeing very many fastballs either, but that number's down even more this year. And base percentage below 300 at this point. Granted, they got off to a relatively slow start last year as well, and they have a better record at this point than they did last year. But not as many key components in the lineup clicking as they had a season ago. They made their second consecutive postseason run.
And again, like you said, I should let the stat guys do their work. Pittsburgh is 1 for 8, not 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position.
Throw back to second. Marte's in safely after Hart goes down on strikes. 4th punch out of the day for Lester.
And Marte gave a fake break on that pitch, maybe trying to distract or thinking about getting a good secondary on a potential wild pitch, but that was close, and a good heads-up play by David Ross. That was really close.
So Ross keeping Marte honest. Marte started this inning with a double. The Pirates in danger of leaving him there with Rodriguez coming up, 2 gone in a 1-run game. Top of the 6th. It was interesting talking with both of these guys yesterday about their relationship, and he said it's more than just being a battery within the game, being a pitcher and a catcher. John Lester pointed out there were times during spring training where he's a new guy on this big contract, and he wants to make sure that he's fitting in, and having a familiar face like Ross made that transition much easier. He's a guy you could go over to and say, hey, help me out, what was that guy's name? Because you're not rubbing an existing guy the wrong way.
Well, I think it's important.
It off.
Doesn't matter who you are, what situation you're going into. If all of a sudden you walk into spring training, there's 60 new guys or whatever the number is, and it's going to get down to 25. It can be a little bit intimidating, and you want to fit in. And even though he is the guy with the big contract that they brought in, and he's going to be an impact player, it still takes some time to get to know your teammates. And John Lester's not, he's not a loud guy. He's not the most outgoing guy. He's pretty quiet. But so far, I'd say the Cubs feel like he's fit in very well.
Rodriguez swings through a cutter, and it's 0-2. Marte started this inning with a double. Gung grounded out. Hart struck out. Rodriguez strikes out. Lester out of the jam once again. Pirates leave the tying run at second. It remains 2-1. Gregory Polanco checks into the game in right field. Sean Rodriguez moves to first. Corey Hart is out of the game, so you can put Polanco into Hart's spot in the order, which is 6th. He won't be due up for a while. Joe Davis, C.J. Nitkowski, Ken Rosenthal back at Wrigley Field. Bottom of the 6th inning, Garrett Cole down 2-1, and facing the middle third of the Cubs order, Starlin Castro takes ball 1. Cole gave up a run in the first on a Castro sac fly, gave up a run in the third, and a Castro fielder's choice bounce out. 1-0. It's 2-0.
And you see the pitch count for Garrett Cole now at 89 through 5. It's probably good for 110 or so. His season high is 180. Sat in the 90s consistently, 91 to 95 every other start. But certainly Clint Hurdle would love to be able to get 2 innings out of Garrett Cole today. 2 more innings, I should say. At least get him through the 7th.
He's fallen behind Castro 3-0. His strikeouts today, 5 of the 6 have been looking. He had a string of 4 consecutive looking. He pours in a strike to Castro, 3-1. It's the first time this season in the majors that anybody's retired 4 consecutive batters on strike 3 looking.
I think that is just a testament to the stuff that Garrett Cole has, and when he's able to put that fastball on the corner like we've seen at times today, it's such a tough pitch to hit at that velocity that a lot of hitters are going to let it go. It's a great freeze pitch. Joe Madden did not like that call, I don't think.
In the air to center. McCutchen back with plenty of room. And Castro the first out of the 6th inning. Yesterday's game, a wacky one. Gregory Polanco, who just checked in, unfortunately was the reason that it ended. Bases loaded for the Cubs here in a tie game in the 12th with 1 out. Polanco has lost his footing.
Left a pretty big divot there in right field, but yeah, it looked like he just kind of got his feet, went a little bit faster than he wanted to go, and an unfortunate moment because there was no way that Castro was going to tag on that ball he had already thrown out, or there was going to be a tag play there. He already thrown out a runner at home on a similar fly ball earlier in the game, and the Cubs caught a big break.
So you saw Matt Caesar as the guy that hit that ball. He was sent down to AAA today, so congratulations. You hit the ball that winds up being the game-winning hit, but as a result of that game going so long, they needed an extra arm. Brian Schlitter was brought up. So 0-2 on Coughlin.
And that's the downside of having options left as a player. You have 3 options which they can use over the course of 3 different seasons. If you go up and down, you can go 5 times in 1 year. That only counts as 1 option. But once you burn that last one, a team has to run you through waivers to send you through the minor leagues. And so you'd like to be out of those as quickly as possible when you're in the major leagues to kind of avoid that situation when they need an extra arm.
Tries to lay off his slider but can't, says third base umpire Greg Gibson. And 2 retired in this 6th inning. Strikeout number 7 for Cole.
And a good job by home plate umpire Chris Segal getting help on that. A lot of times, and we saw it the other day with Bryce Harper, where Rob Drake called him out on a close one instead of asking for help at third. Always better, in my opinion, to be safe than sorry. Ask the guy who got a better look at it. It's very difficult for a home plate umpire to watch a pitch and watch a swing at the same time.
Jorge Soler now taking inside for a ball. It's 1 for 2 today. Singled in the 2nd. Struck out in the 4th. His struggles so far this year, and use the term struggle relatively speaking, he's still hitting .272 coming into the game, but it's been a direct result of him expanding that zone, chasing too many pitches. Waits on this 2-0 and bounces it gently. Go foul, 2-1. Yesterday, we talk about encouraging signs for the Cubs. A 4-walk game for Jorge Soler. Never before in his short big league career had he even walked 3 times in a game.
You know, Joe Madden loves seeing that in this front office led by Theo Epstein. Loves seeing that and seeing the patience get better. There's a stat that's called O-swing percentage, which is how often a hitter goes out of the strike zone swinging at pitches that are balls. Soler is at 35%. That's the 2nd highest on this team. Starlin Castro is actually at 38%. But a lot of these guys on this team, Anthony Rizzo, we talk about the great plate discipline that he has, and Chris Bryant in the mid-20s. So there's definitely some room for improvement for both Soler and Castro.
Took a fastball at 97, 2-2. Cole now 100 pitches deep into this outing. 1 out away from going 6 innings at least for a 13th consecutive start. There's a nice job by Soler to leave his slider in the dirt and run it full.
And I think as he gets older and more mature, we'll see him swing at that pitch less, and Joe Maddon's certainly a lot happier.
Cole trying to work his first 1-2-3 frame of the day, and a shot to right center, base hit. Over Walker's outstretched mitt. Soler's second hit of the day keeps the inning alive.
Well, they had Neil Walker placed perfectly on the shift. It's a fastball down the middle. And Cole obviously frustrated. And you have to think it's a little bit humid today, that some fatigue is going to start to set in here. But no action in the bullpen right now. And like I said, joked with both of these managers about what could they get out of their starters today. In a perfect world, they get 8. But right now, I think for the Pirates, they're hoping that Garrett Cole can get through 6. Even 7. Maybe they push him. We'll see what happens next inning. He is due up second next inning, so there is a good chance this could be his last.
David Ross stands in now after the 2-out single from Soler. The former first overall draft pick delivers ball 1. Ken Rosenthal, more on Garrett Cole.
Well, guys, teams routinely blow it when they take a pitcher first in the amateur draft, and Garrett Cole first in 2011. The Pirates know firsthand how difficult it can be. Chris Benson in 1996, decent pitcher, but not a star. Brian Bullington in 2002, well, an outright bust. Cole was not an obvious choice in 2011. He actually got outpitched by his UCLA teammate Trevor Bauer that year. Anthony Rendon was in that draft, Archie Bradley. But the Pirates never wavered in their belief that he had the greatest upside of all of those players, and they were proven right.
Yeah, he's certainly, especially over the last year, Ken, really turned it on, started to be in the conversation of the elite guys in this game. I think that one hit off of the knob of the bat. And it's a strike, so 1-2.
It ended up hitting the barrel there. First, it looked like it. What an odd foul ball. But I got it. Kenny is getting on my boy, Brian Bullington, who is a star in Japan right now. He's been there for 5 years. And he's tearing up the MPB. So, Kenny, I can't let you get away with it. Yes, he didn't happen here in the States as a 1-1. But he has made a nice career for himself in Japan.
Maybe a bust here, but killing it over there.
He's such a nice guy. I know Kenny is very accurate in his assessment of what happened here for Brian Bullington in the United States, but he couldn't be a nicer guy. Former teammate of mine here with the Pirates in the minor leagues.
Just to finish off that thought from Ken about first overall picks. Last 50 years, the only #1 pick to win a Cy Young, David Price. 2-2. Swings and misses at a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, bounced in there. Another K for Cole. Today's game summary is brought to you by Budweiser. All the scoring coming in the early innings. Solo home run for Sean Rodriguez, accounting for the Pirates' run. And Starlin Castro with a pair of RBIs, one on a sac fly, one on a ground out. 2-1 our score, and Chris Stewart begins his 7th against John Lester by taking a curve for strike 1. John Lester's now delivered first pitch strikes, many of them on curveballs, to 21 of the 26 batters he's faced.
Certainly nothing better than working ahead and putting yourself in a position to succeed by having a good first pitch strike rate. Oh, that hurts.
Stewart fouls it off his leg. Calls behind 0-2 against John Lester, who will likely see a pinch hitter after Lester. Jordy Mercer is waiting on deck. The Cubs this season, when they get a quality start, 13-2. When the starter fails to reach a quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs or less, that record flips. It's a testament to the way this bullpen has struggled. Especially in this month of May, the pen has been one of the worst in baseball. Lester to Stewart with a 1-2. Just outside. It evens up.
And John Lester is no stranger to quality starts. Last year he was tied for second in all of Major League Baseball. He had 27 of them. Johnny Cueto was first with 29. Good looking fastball. It is a ball, but well located in that 1-2 situation, trying to get Chris Stewart to chase.
Lester's made 30 or more starts in 7 consecutive seasons. All of them but last year, coming exclusively in Boston. Last year's split between Boston and Oakland. He was dealt at the deadline for Yoenis Cespedes. Chris Stewart starting the 7th inning. Battling against Lester. Still 2-2.
We call that a little bit of an excuse me swing right there, where he started, stopped. But he did a good job of at least fouling it off. What that means is it's late break. Chris Stewart picked it up a little bit late, but he didn't want to hold up his swing there because that ball would have been called third strike.
Reaching that time of day at Wrigley where the shadows from the grandstand casted over home plate, leaving the sun still covering the mound. That ball can be harder to pick up. Stewart picked that one up just fine, but pulled it foul, and it's still 2-2.
Yeah, as a pitcher, you love pitching here in the middle of the day, and a lot of places where you'll get those shadows. You think about it, you're seeing that ball white out of the pitcher's hand, and then by the time it gets you, it's dark. So changing colors as it comes makes it that much more difficult to pick up the spin of the pitch. And for John Lester, probably wants to work quickly. There's no outs here while he's got that sun. Not going to be there much longer.
Use it.
Use it to your advantage.
Another 2-2 to Stewart. Chops one to third for Bryant. 1 out. So Bryant goes 5-3 like he did against St. Louis on May 6th. This is fun. Starlin Castro behind him, mimicking the throw, and Anthony Rizzo's reaction is priceless.
Love it. He's like, what are you doing, dude? But he's kind of smiling there a little bit, and Joe Madden told us that Rizzo knew he had to be careful because he is one of those guys that would do something like that to a teammate. And so maybe getting a little bit of a taste of his own medicine. But he said there's little nuances that happen with this team throughout the game on the field where they're having fun, poking fun at each other, and Joe Madden absolutely loves it. He believes that that speaks to the team chemistry, but probably even bigger than that, that how relaxed these guys are in the middle of a big league game where there can be so much pressure on a young player that they're having a little bit of fun with each other.
This is Jordy Mercer pinch hitting for Garrett Cole.
Now, of course, that only works when you're winning. You can't do
right.
those kinds of things when you're losing. I don't even think Joe Madden would go for that.
I thought the look that Starlin Castro shot over to Anthony Rizzo after Rizzo gave him the look basically said exactly what Joe Madden says, and that is don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, Anthony Rizzo.
Well, it's good to see, and people wonder what value does a manager really have, but you bring in Joe Madden at $5 million a year. It's a big contract for a manager, but so difficult to break into this league. as a young player and be successful, and he is the perfect manager for it because he allows guys to be themselves, to let their personality shine. But it's not romper room either. It's not chaos. You are still held accountable to be there on time, to know all the plays, to know everything that they're teaching, to fall in line. But he doesn't cut short your personality in kind of that old school way that we've seen from managers in the past.
Stewart grounded out. Mercer strikes out. 2 gone. Well, the Game Changer profile is brought to you by T-Mobile today, official sponsor of Game Changers, and Joe Madden certainly fits the bill. Signed in the offseason, 5 years, $25 million. Everything just kind of timed out right for the Cubs. He had an out clause in his contract with Andrew Friedman going from Tampa Bay to Los Angeles to head the Dodgers. He took advantage of it coming here to the Cubs. Soon after, they got John Lester. A couple of more moves around that. Montero, Fowler, Ross all joining the fold. Harrison takes ball 1. But really, it accelerated things here in Chicago. Same direction it was headed, but it accelerated it.
Agreed. And like I said, just a perfect guy for this team and what they're trying to accomplish right now. And Theo Epstein couldn't wait to get a hold of Joe Madden to lead this club.
Tough play for Russell, ranging behind the bag, and Josh Harrison has an infield single. His second hit of the day. Pirates put the tying run on base here in the 7th.
You know, on the flip side, too, for the Tampa Bay Rays, they bring in Kevin Cash, a guy who has never managed, and they move some guys on that team. And I think the early assumptions before the season started was it was going to be a disaster for them. And they're actually 3 games above 500. You look at that roster, you're saying, how do they do it? How are they winning right now? They're only, I believe, a game back of the Yankees in first place. Now, it's not a great division this year, but the fact that they are being competitive, I think Kevin Cash certainly deserves some credit for that, because it is a much lesser roster than even Joe Madden had to deal with when he was there.
Pitching is carrying them, but dealing with some injuries in that rotation as well. Here's Neil Walker representing the go-ahead run, taking strike 1 on a backdoor cutter from Lester. Brian Schlitter called up today from AAA Iowa.
That almost looks fake. I mean, that beard looks like he could take it off and put it on his nightstand at night before he goes to bed.
Like it's a giveaway that he got on his way in.
That is amazing.
Bouncing ball towards the middle. Another tough play. Russell can't field it. And Walker with an infield single. Back to back. Infield singles for the Pirates, keeping the inning alive for McCutchen.
Well, now this is where the inexperience of Addison Russell playing second base comes into play. Even if he fields this cleanly, it's not his play. We saw it on the first one from Josh Harrison. This is a tougher play. It's up the middle. It would have taken a phenomenal defensive play to get this out at first, especially with Harrison running. But now with Neil Walker, this one, the only play here is if Starlin Castro fields that ball and makes a really excellent play, and even then it's probably not going to happen. But Addison Russell has to let that ball go. Starlin Castro has to call him off in that situation. But he hasn't played a ton of second base, so he doesn't know any better. He sees the ball, he goes after it aggressively. And a couple of tough breaks there for John Lester, but he's throwing the ball well, and the contact this inning has been weak.
And Russell was already headed in that direction with Harrison off and moving on the pitch. Chris Bosio out to talk with John Lester, who's thrown 106 pitches now. His season high 110 came opening night against St. Louis. Now faces Andrew McCutchen with a tying run in scoring position. 2 gone here in the 7th.
And his career high, if you're wondering, 130 pitches back in 2007 when he threw, or was it 2009 when he threw that no-hitter against the Kansas City Royals? Excuse me, 2008. Get it right. Give me a couple of guesses. I'll finally figure it out.
First one to McCutchen. Strike 1. McCutchen 0 for 3 on the day. Pirates is a team 1 for 10 in these situations.
And as hot as Andrew McCutchen has been, he's really taken some very uncomfortable swings against John Lester today. He only has 2 at-bats against him coming into this game, and they were both strikeouts. Talked about the 0 for 3 now, bringing him up to 0 for 5 in his career against Lester.
0-2. This knowledgeable crowd in Chicago understands that this likely is the final batter that John Lester faces. It's in a jam in a 1-run game in the 7th. And they're quickly tempered. But Joe Madden followed out by the training staff.
Not sure exactly what happened here with John Lester, but the thing about him is he's one of those guys that is difficult to get out of a game. It is a little muggy here as the weather has kind of turned. I always wonder about dehydration and cramps or potentially locking up. But it looks like he's fine. I don't know if he slipped on the mound. We'll watch the last pitch here again from John Lester, see what kind of reaction we get. Oh, right hamstring. It looked like he grabbed it with his glove, and oh so subtly, because you know he wants to finish this at bat and more importantly finish this inning.
2 on, 2 out, 7th inning in a 1-run game. And an 0-2 to McCutchen. Good stop by Ross. Heading to third is Harrison. And they're at the corners now. The ball and 2 strikes on the former MVP Andrew McCutchen.
John Lester, you talked about how good he has been with runners in scoring position today. Another big point of the game. He has faced a lot of these moments where he's had to get big outs in a tight game. And Joe Madden is going to ask him to try to do it one more time.
Pull shift on McCutchen with the second baseman Russell playing straight up the middle.
Fastball away. They're looking for the called third strike on the corner.
Got it. The season, replacing Garrett Cole here in the bottom of the 7th with the Cubs in front of the Pirates 2-1. And will face a pinch hitter. Jonathan Herrera grabs a bat and replaces John Lester. It was finished after 7 innings of 1-run ball. Caminero, hard thrower. Strike 1, 98.
Right out of the chute. And for Jonathan Herrera, welcome to the game. The good fastballs that we have seen so far today will continue. Caminero averages 98.5 miles an hour per fastball.
Funny, he went 98 in the first one, 99 in the second one, and there's his average.
I only went to college for 3 years, but even I knew that.
Fun spot for Herrera, huh? 98, 99. Fouled off. 99 again. Only Aroldis Chapman averages a harder fastball. His is 99 and a half. Russell, Fowler to follow in this inning. 2-1 game, bottom of the 7th. Jonathan Herrera with a pinch hit, strikeout to start the frame.
And that's a good job of using that fastball and elevating in that situation for the strikeout.
How about Garrett Cole today? Pretty sharp.
Garrett Cole was fantastic today, and as advertised, and when he was hitting his spots, he became even better. Very difficult to hit today. He gives 6 innings in just the 2 earned runs, only walked 1 batter. Made lots of big pitches today, 8 strikeouts. But it has actually been John Lester who's gotten the best of him. Just like we talked about in our open, you're going to have to outpitch Garrett Cole, and John Lester did that today. Goes an inning longer and a run less.
Addison Russell fouls off the first one at 100 from Caminero.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. How many times do you hit 100?
Driving? Often. With the fastball? Never. The wind was blowing one day at Turner Field, and I saw a couple of 96s. But
nice.
I don't think those were legit. It only happened on one day. Can't really say that I've ever done that.
No, you got to do it multiple days. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1-1 on Russell. 8 strikeouts today for Cole, by the way. Matches his season high, and it matches what he did against the Cubs in his first start against them. The Cubs strike out more than any team in the majors, and 9 more of them so far today. That's a combination of a couple things. Obviously, you have the youth on this Cubs roster. You're going to have young guys strike out more. And then there's the emphasis on working at bats. They're second in the majors in pitches per plate appearance, which means you're getting deeper into counts.
Which is important, and even though it was only 2 runs today, I think you can look at Garrett Cole in a way that you beat him. You make him throw 107 pitches in 6 innings, and you get him out of the game now. Only got 2 runs out of it, but they worked good at bats, and Anthony Rizzo especially, and Chris Bryant as well, but Rizzo on an 0-2 count, even though it was only a 3-pitch at bat, did a really good job getting a big hit in a big situation.
Caminero walks Russell. Kevin Burkhardt, what did Giancarlo Stanton do now? Yeah, geez, it seems like every day that home run that he hit out of Dodger Stadium, only the 4th player to do that, that seems like old news now. Ho hum.
It's amazing to watch that guy hit, and as amazing as that home run was, Mark McGwire did the same thing, but did it in the gap at Dodger Stadium over the pavilion. It's incredible the power some of these guys are showing these days.
Dexter Fowler. 1 for 3 today. A single back in the 3rd. Comes without an extra base hit in this game, but with a 2-1 lead in the last of the 7th. Caminero comes home. Just misses. Is that a changeup? 94.
Might have been a 2-seam fastball. He throws a ton of those, but for the most part, you're going to see the fastball. You're going to see a cutter, which that obviously was not. I didn't see him down for any changeups this year, so that was probably just a 2-seam fastball where he took a little bit off of it.
One-0 to Fowler. Jam foul. It's 1-1. One day after that wacky 11-10 game, we saw the teams combined for 30 hits. It's 2-1 in this one. No extra base hits. And just what the doctor ordered for both sides, saving the bullpens after they combined for 13 innings in that 12-inning game yesterday. Caminero's 1-1 to Fowler. He'll come after toss to first. Yesterday, 21 runs on 30 hits combined. And today, just those 3 runs on 16 base hits. Russell walked, and Fowler with a 1-1 count. 1-2.
See Caminero kind of spin off a little bit right there, get under that fastball. But you put that over the plate, that kind of elevation, it's very difficult for a guy like Dexter Fowler, any hitter for that matter, when you're behind an account, to lay off of that pitch. But he wants to end this at bat right now. Fowler's a tough guy to double up, but he doesn't want to go 3-2 on him either.
Good lead for Russell. He runs. Fowler takes outside. Throw down, bounces into center. Russell to his feet will take third. And third base a lot different than second base with less than 2 outs.
You got the wild pitch in play. You have, of course, the sacrifice fly in play. A ground ball that's well placed. And Addison Russell actually stumbled a little bit. A good throw, and he is probably out because of that stumble. Chris Stewart felt like he had to rush it. And unfortunately, not a great throw for him. And you see the frustration. The third stolen base for the Cubs today.
And the third error for the Pirates, matching a season high. Infield comes in for Clint Hurdle with a full count on Fowler. Here's Caminero's pitch. Tries to lay off and does. Ball 4. It's a good at-bat for Dexter Fowler.
Great at-bat for Fowler in that situation. Now getting Chris Bryant to the plate. With 1 out, again, opportunity for either a hard hit ball if they draw the corners in, or even they'll take something like this, a fly ball. But you're at the point of the lineup right now that is making the Cubs go, and Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. Caminero's going to have to work because Chris Bryant can hit a fastball. We've seen him take a couple of really good fastballs in out of the ballpark as he's been on this little bit of a home run streak. But you know he's not thinking home run, and that's what's so impressive about his maturity.
Power against power. First 20 games without hitting a home run for Bryant. He's now hit 4 in the last week. Cubs looking for insurance, full well knowing that the issue has been keeping leads late in games. Russell walked. He's at third. Fowler walked. He's at first. Chris Bryant takes low through the legs of Stewart. Here comes Russell. It's 3-1 Cubs.
And you see the frustration from Chris Bryant. That's a block that he has to make. This is all on him. Right through the 5-hole. Does not get his glove down on time. It's been a frustrating game and a frustrating inning particularly. And Addison Russell a good read and scores easily. And now for the Cubs an opportunity to really put some pressure here on the Pirates and open this game up a little bit.
Up to second went Fowler. Dangerous count here. 2-0 on Chris Bryant. None of the Cubs' runs have scored on hits today. Got a run and a sacrifice fly. Got a run and a ground out. And now a run and a pass ball charge to Chris Stewart. A chance for more with a runner at second and 1 down. 2-0. And Bryant takes a strike, but a pitcher's pitch that he lays off.
It's a good-looking pitch down and away. And for Caminero, you see him struggling to throw strikes, and that really has not been the case for him, even though we're seeing some kind of herky-jerky mechanics a little bit. His walk rate has been fantastic. He's only walked 4 batters on the season coming into today, and his walk rate at 2.3 per 9 innings, which is excellent. And he calls a balk right here. And we're seeing the Pittsburgh Pirates just kind of fall apart this inning. Going back to the stolen base. Then the wild pitch. Now Caminero chips in as he flinched as he was coming set, and Ray Searage is going to come out. Now watch him as he comes set right here. You're going to see a little bit of a flinch, that movement, and that's a balk. Once you start moving, you can't stop. And that was Caminero looking back out at the runner and getting distracted and having a thought that caused him to do that. We'll see it again. He looks there and he paused and he saw something that threw him off. I think all 4 umpires saw that one. We saw an arm come up all the way around the infield.
First balk of his career.
Ray Searage goes out and just tries to calm Caminero down. You cannot let this game get any further away, and it doesn't get any easier because here you are facing Chris Bryant now with a man on third, behind in the count, and the infield drawn in less than 2 outs.
So those holes get bigger for Bryant, who's ahead of the count 2-1. Caminero deals, and Bryant takes low. 3 balls and 1 strike on Chris Bryant, with Anthony Rizzo due up next. The Cubs trying to expand their 7th inning lead. Antonio Bastardo getting loose. (3-1). Walked him. Third walk of the inning issued by Caminero. Bryant has reached all 4 times.
Clint Hurdle is obviously frustrated. He's got his lefty Bastardo up. You would think that they would make a move, but Caminero was not even close. And like you said, 3 walks this inning. He has nearly doubled his season total in this inning alone. So he may be fatigued. Just not feeling right from the beginning, and just a really ugly inning. But like I said, there's time here, and I'm shocked that Caminero is staying in this game. He hasn't really shown us that he wants to be out there right now. It does not look very comfortable.
Doesn't get any easier for him. Here's Anthony Rizzo. Major league leader in on-base percentage. Couple of more hits today. Strike 1. Reaching base in almost half of his plate appearances.
That's been impressive, and you may wonder why would he swing at the first pitch after we've just seen 3 walks. As patient as he is, he also knows his job is to drive in runs. And if you see a pitch, regardless of scoring position, that you like, regardless of what has happened leading up to that moment, you're a middle of the order hitter, you absolutely go for it.
That ball's hit in the air to left center. Marte is under it. Should be deep enough to bring home Fowler. It is. RBI sac fly, Anthony Rizzo. Cubs have added a pair in the 7th, and it's 4-1. That run doesn't score without Caminero's balk.
It doesn't happen. Now, the only thing maybe on Bastardo not being here in this situation, he has struggled against lefties. They're hitting .375 against him this year, so they decided to leave Caminero in. And Rizzo did exactly what he wanted to do. Gives himself a couple of claps, congratulates himself, but he did a really good job in that situation of getting the run in, expanding this lead for the Cubs bullpen, who has struggled. And this becomes important now that they've been able to add on here in the 7th.
Up and in on Castro. 98 buzzing by. Hitless today, but a pair of runs knocked in for the Cubs shortstop. Cubs have played at 2 in the 7th without the benefit of a base hit. 3 walks against Caminero, who deals 1-0. Upstairs to Castro. 2 balls and no strikes. Cubs have gotten some help. 3 errors from Pittsburgh. They've walked 4. 2-0. Popped up. It's Stewart to end the inning. But the Cubs take advantage of the erratic Caminero to add a pair of runs and lead 4-1 as we go to the 8th. Monday. The Cubs unbeaten since then, trying to win their 6th in a row. They swept the Mets, beat the Pirates in extras yesterday, and lead 4-1 as we begin the 8th inning today. How about the video board? Your first time inside here since they've put it up. It's big. What are your thoughts?
It's huge, and it's great. I mean, that is one of the things that this ballpark has missed. And you love the throwback feel of a place like Wrigley, but at the same time, you love updated amenities as a fan, and it certainly makes the game experience much better, and certainly an opportunity for the Cubs to generate a little more revenue as well.
Brian Schlitter called up earlier today from AAA Iowa. Matt Caesar going down. They needed an extra arm. The Pen throwing 6 1/3 in yesterday's game. His 0-1 to Marte is shoved towards right center, down for a base hit. Marte's 3rd hit of the day leads off this 8th. And up comes Jung Ho Kang. Phil Koch, Jason Mott both getting loose already in the Cubs pen as Schlitter makes his first appearance since getting sent down after a really rough start. It's on the opening day roster, but in 7 games, ERA above 9.
And it's interesting that he gets this opportunity to come here in the 8th inning right away and be put in a big spot. And that's, I think, speaks more to Joe Maddon and his willingness to take some chances with his guys and show them that he believes in him. But at the same time, you know, he's probably sitting here a little anxious knowing what has happened with this bullpen as they have struggled a little bit this year. 4.31 ERA. That's 8th in the National League this year.
Schlitter's 1-0 to Kang. It's a high strike. It's bringing Ken Rosenthal.
CJ, actually, this choice of Schlitter is quite revealing, I think, because Mott has struggled, Koch has struggled, Edwin Jackson of late has struggled. Those are 3 veterans, and those are 3 guys they're counting on to be kind of bedrock back there. Hasn't happened.
Schlitter's 1-1 to Kang. Hung it, ripped, fair down the left field line. Coughlin over to get it. Marte held it 3rd on a double from Kang. Single from Marte, double from Kang, and the Pirates have something cooking in the 8th against Schlitter.
And Schlitter was really playing with fire there. That was 3 pitches in a row that were up in the zone. There was no elevation change at all for Jung Ho Kang, and he saw the same pitch 3 times. And Joe Maddon's stomach might be turning just a little bit right now, as he's going to go out and get his lefty Phil Koch and ask him to pitch out of a pretty tough jam.
So Brian Schlitter throws 5 pitches and gets replaced by Phil Koch with a tying run coming to the plate. Big league veteran Phil Koch making his first appearance in a week, and it comes with a tying run at the plate for the Pirates here in the 8th inning. Brian Schlitter threw only 5 pitches in his return from AAA. Single from Marte, double from Gong, and now Gregory Polanco.
And it doesn't get any easier for Joe Madden and the decisions that he has to make. Phil Koch has struggled this year, and lefty's hitting .318 against him. His job, of course, is to be that loogie lefty only guy coming out of the bullpen and to shut lefties down, but he has not gotten it done yet this year.
Signed a minor league deal in March. First year with the Cubs. He brings an 0-1 to Polanco. Bouncing ball, stabbed by Koch. Runners retreat, throws him out. 1 away.
And not only a good play, but a heads-up defensive play by Phil Koch by checking the runner at third base before he made that throw to first. As Marte got off, luckily Chris Bryant was further away from the bag for Marte. He turns and makes a quick throw, and Phil Koch is in and out.
Does his job, though, and that's been more than most of these guys have been doing lately in the Cubs bullpen. They've been one of the worst in the bigs this month. So Koch comes on and retires the left-handed hitter, and in comes Jason Mott in a 4-1 game. Gregory Polanco, I think I know why, touched the good luck charm. Is it the pin or was it the bow tie? What is your magic trick, Kenny?
No magic. Koch told me he's just been unlucky, and I said he had to turn it up.
Let him know.
What a great job in the major leagues. Throw 2 pitches, get out of there.
How about this? Pedro Alvarez will pinch hit for Sean Rodriguez as Clint Hurdle counters Joe Madden. Madden goes to the right-hander in Jason Mott, and so to the bench goes Hurdle to bring on Alvarez. He cranked the home run yesterday and represents the tying run with 1 out here in the 8th. Mott's first one. Strike 1. Mott yesterday gave up a home run to Josh Harrison. 2 runs allowed without recording an out. Fires 0-1. It's 1-1. That is Travis Wood, who is a part of the rotation. Hasn't made a relief appearance in 4 seasons.
It's one of those days where probably his bullpen day, so he goes down there and potentially they could be playing matchups to get through this 8th inning, or he could just be getting his bullpen in now. We'll see. You get a look down there now. He's looking, talking to his coach, bullpen coach, and so yeah, this is a thing where they're potentially getting ready to use Travis Wood to come out of the bullpen. That's what happens in days like yesterday when you empty the bullpen out. It is all hands on deck. Any starters who were scheduled to throw the bullpens like Vance Worley was for the Pirates, you don't. You wait until the game starts to see if they need you in the game. Then if they don't, you throw a bullpen at the end.
1-2. Tried to get him to climb the ladder. He lays off a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. 2-2 on Alvarez. The 2-2 inside, and it goes full.
And Mott wanted it, and certainly the fans wanted it. But this pitch was a ball. It finishes in off the plate. It had some run, but not enough to get back over the plate. It's a dangerous pitch to a left-handed hitter. You miss over the plate, it becomes very hittable.
Alvarez represented the tying run. Swings and misses at a pitch that was up. Strike 3. 2 outs in the 8th.
And probably ball 4 here, but for Alvarez, could not lay off of it. You see the target down and in. He actually misses up and away. Alvarez coming off the bench. Not in the flow of the game. Pinch hitting. All other pinch hitters now are batting 0 outside of Corey Hart.
The Pirates are now 1 for 13, CJ, with runners in scoring position today. Single and a double to begin the frame from Marte and Gong. Now it's Stewart with 2 outs. And a strike.
Chris Stewart certainly would like to turn his day around, and here's a great opportunity to do it. He's 0 for 2. He's had some issues behind the plate, the stolen bases, the wild pitch that got through his legs. Could make that all go away with a big hit in this situation.
0-1. Strike 2. Colt got Polanco. Mott got Alvarez. And he's ahead of Stewart 1-2, trying to pitch out of this jam. The other way with a fly ball. Soler makes the play. The Pirates 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They strand 2 more. Jason Mott pitches out of the jam, and it stays 4-1. Winner-take-all fight for $1 million. NASCAR's Sprint All-Star Race is next, and it's all part of 10 Days of Thunder, only on Fox Sports 1. To the bottom of the 8th we go, and to first base goes Pedro Alvarez after pinch hitting and striking out in the top of this inning. Antonio Bastardo comes in. Third pitcher of the day for the Pirates, replacing Archimedes Caminero, who struggled, walking 3, giving up 2 in his 1 inning of work. 5, 6, and 7 for the Cubs. Chris Coughlin 0 for 3 today. And he attacks the first pitch, and it's a fly ball to center. Andrew McCutchen cruises under it for the first out of the innings. Check in with Kevin Burkhardt for a game break. Deal with it. Deal with it, right? Jorge Soler. Couple of hits today, around a strikeout. Against Antonio Bastardo, whose wife Maribel gave birth to their first son earlier this week. Byron Bastardo was born on Monday.
Major League Baseball does a really nice job now of offering that paternity leave list. Gives you a couple of days. Used to never happen when I first came up. They've done such a good job with that, with the concussion list, and giving teams the flexibility to let a player go attend to something, family emergency, whatever it may be, and give them a chance to replace him on the roster.
Cubs got single runs in the first and in the third today. Added 2 in the 7th. With a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, trying to clinch a series win, trying to get their 6th win in a row. Bastardo dealing an 0-2 to Soler. 1-2. Cubs have not won 6 straight games since 2011. They had a 4-game sweep of the Pirates included in that stretch, which ultimately got to 7 wins in a row. Here's a 1-2. Soler gets drilled. He's down in the count. He'll gladly take his base with 1 gone.
It's the first batter that Bastardo has hit this year. This is just a slider that gets away, that just keeps going. Talk about late, tight sliders. That was actually a bigger one, a little bit sloppier. And for Bastardo, it's just been an unusual season for him. 7 innings, 12 hits allowed, but he's also been striking out batters, walking him at a higher rate. The Pirates brought him in, or brought him from the Phillies last year, is where he was on a 1-year deal, and he's gotten off to a slow start. Both lefties and righties have been hitting Bastardo pretty well.
Former Philly ready to deal to the former Red Sox, David Ross. Strike 1.
Played with Bastardo briefly in the Dominican Republic.
Is there anywhere you haven't played?
For the Gigantes. No Venezuela, no Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No Taiwan.
Everywhere else, got it covered.
There's a league I stopped by. Almost did Italy at the very end.
Yeah?
Didn't work out. I decided to pursue this career instead. Although I wish it would have been nice just to go live in Italy for a summer, play a little baseball.
Solid base hit to center for Ross. Up to second goes Soler. 2 on with 1 away. This game is brought to you by Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball.
You can't wait to see when construction is completely finished. And the renovations at this ballpark, I mean, it is already a beautiful place. The fact that the viewing experience here when you come to watch this live is only going to get better. It's great. Some of the best fans in baseball.
Left field and center field bleachers, as we've mentioned, opened up on Monday. About 3,500 fans fit in there. Right field bleachers expected to open next month. And then they plan to have the full bleacher project finished by early July. Wellington Castillo grabs a bat and takes a ball from Bastardo. Castillo hitting in the pitcher's spot, replacing Jonathan Herrera, who pinch hit for John Lester. There's a strike. The bleachers are just part of the project. They're finally getting a new home clubhouse and what is known as the Triangle Building on the third base side of the ballpark. Clubhouse will be built under it, so it'll be a really long walk under the existing grandstand to get to the dugout. But I think they'll be willing to make that walk to upgrade the space.
It'll definitely be worth it. The home clubhouse better than the visiting clubhouse, which is even worse. But you'll go with an old stadium that's been here as long as Wrigley Field has. The amenities are not going to be good. I played in Old Tiger Stadium and shut that one down in 1999, the last season there. And it was so fun to be there because of the history, but the amenities were so bad. So it's good to see that here in Chicago that they have kept the stadium and they've just upgraded it. And like you said, the players more than happy to take a few extra steps to get a better clubhouse.
Castillo looks at strike 3 called for the second out of the 8th inning. Now, it was interesting chatting around the Cubs clubhouse yesterday. They don't have room for traditional batting cages by the clubhouse. Most parks, if you're going to be a pinch hitter late in the game or you want to get a few extra hacks in, you just go back into the cage, not too far from the dugout. Well, at Wrigley, those cages are beyond the outfield fence under the bleachers. So what they've got to do here is go back into the clubhouse and drop a net down right next to the snack table and take hacks off a tee or get soft toss in there. They've got a board they drop over the flat screen TV to make sure they don't do any damage there. Time for an upgrade.
That's unbelievable. We were in the home clubhouse today and I was looking around. I'd been there before as a visitor. I used to come through there if you wanted to use their weight room. And I was thinking there were nicer AAA clubhouses than there are here at Wrigley. A lot of them. There's a lot of really good minor league stadiums these days, and the clubhouses are a lot nicer. Even on the home side, the visiting sides, definitely, I'd say almost every AAA clubhouse is better than what they have here on the visiting side. But the home side, you want your home players to be comfortable, and especially nowadays. Some of these clubhouses are just gorgeous that we see now around the major leagues.
2-0 on Addison Russell with 2 on and 2 out. Russell takes strike 1. For the Pirates in the 9th inning, 9-1 and 2. And if somebody can reach, Andrew McCutchen would hit. Pittsburgh down 3 right now. Bastardo trying to keep it there. 2-1. Blows it by Russell. 2-2.
Russell on that 2-1 count probably would like to have another shot at that 94-mile-an-hour fastball coming in from a lefty. Bastardo able to overpower the 21-year-old.
Again. And that ends the inning. Back-to-back Ks for Bastardo after a couple of men reached. We go to the 9th. More than 400 devices with MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service. Real-time highlights and plenty more every night on every device. Visit MLB.TV for details. And for those of you tuning in for the NASCAR Sprint Cup All-Star Qualifying, we'll get you out there immediately after our game finishes. In the meantime, that's available on the Fox News Channel right now and streaming live on the Fox Sports Go app and at foxsportsgo.com. Travis Wood, with his first relief appearance since 2011, full-time member of the Cubs starting rotation, on to try and close it out, facing a pinch hitter, Francisco Cervelli.
This is not just a situation where you're asking him to eat up some innings and save the bullpen, but a chance for his first career save.
Sounded good off of the bat of Cervelli, but hung up for Soler. One away in the ninth. And now back to the top of the Pirates order, with the quickly heating up Josh Harrison. 9 hits in his last 3 games now, with the 2 singles today. First one to Harrison is upstairs, and the Cubs find themselves, Ken Rosenthal, 2 outs away from another party.
Right, Joe. And Joe Maddon brought to Chicago the same type of post-game celebration that the Rays used to do in Tampa Bay. Smoke machine, disco ball, deafening music. And the player of the game is in the middle of it all. Now, yesterday, Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam joined them. He was like the player of the game in the middle. And it's interesting talking to John Lester about this. He played against Tampa Bay for Boston for many years, and he said he found the freewheeling Tampa Bay culture a little bit annoying. But now he understands it much better, and he said those celebrations are particularly meaningful for guys like Starlin Castro and Anthony Rizzo, who have been through so much losing here in Chicago.
3-1 on Harrison. Yeah, Ken, there's been several guys. David Ross, another one that said from the outside looking in, you don't really understand Joe Maddon's style. And it's not very traditional at all. But you tend to get it and embrace it once you're part of it.
Yeah, the Lester comments are particularly interesting because he's pretty stoic, and he has an old school kind of way about him, and he seems like a no-nonsense kind of guy. And the way that Kenny phrased it, basically, Lester said he found it annoying. It doesn't surprise me at all about him, but it is interesting to see that he gets it now that he's here and actually can appreciate it and have some fun with it.
Travis Wood, 2 up, 2 down. Castro puts it away. And the Pirates down to their final out. You can follow your favorite team and players all season with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights and more. Get MLB.com at bat now. Neil Walker trying to keep things alive for the big swingers, McCutchen and Marte. Strike 1.
Well, up to this point, Joe Maddon has to be very pleased with his bullpen, especially going back to that 8th inning, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. And he uses Phil Cote, Jason Mott to get out of it. Now Travis Wood a chance to end this one.
Fly to center. Dexter Fowler is there. And the Cubs, for the first time since 2011, have ripped off 6 wins in a row. They sweep the Mets to begin the homestand. They went 11-10 last night. They beat the Pirates 4-1 here in Game 2 to clinch a series win. That's all from here in Chicago. The Cubs moved to 6 games above 500. At 21-15 overall for C.J. Nitkowski, Ken Rosenthal, the rest of our crew. Joe Davis saying so long from Wrigley Field. Now we send it to NASCAR Sprint All-Star Qualifying.